Great day, whatever you get up to. Back with you tomorrow from 6:30. Conasatatu.
It was all you could do. It was all.
We have the students from Kalash Jali in today, so I'm practicing me a couple of focal, you see.
So, very good.
Yeah,
transition years, is it?
Yes, so it's TY Media. Well, it's usually TY Media Week is how it's usually ran. But we're obviously doing it over the course of 5 weeks. So we're doing it bilingual as
These
well.
Headphones are just doing
I know.
my head in.
I hear you, sister.
They're new headphones. Stop using my lines, my off-air lines on air.
Well, I won't say the Carling, what you called her there a minute ago. When she came in singing.
You are actually delirious. What's wrong with you? You used to be shy and stuff. Are you all right?
I'm fine. It's these early mornings. Not suiting me.
Well, get used to not sleeping at all.
I know.
Right, so the students come in, they look around the place.
Yeah, well, basically what they are doing is it's putting a program together. So we're putting a program together. Obviously, they are doing it bilingual, obviously. And it is going to go out, I think, on St. Stephen's Day. But obviously, They arrange the interviews. They arrange everything. We're just basically there to make sure everything goes to plan.
I used to be in these loops. I'm not in this loop anymore. I don't know why people are trying to push me out. All right, then. Good stuff. That sounds fantastic. Look forward to that. You're back tomorrow?
Yep, tomorrow.
All right, doing the full week. All right, great stuff. Kevin Fury back with you tomorrow morning at 6:30. The 9 till noon show on the way after a news update now from Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. A man suspected of killing Private Sean Rooney has reportedly been released after being handed over to authorities by Hezbollah in December last year. He's been released on bail pending a trial. 23-year-old Private Rooney, who had been living in Donegal, was killed on December the 14th, 2022, after a convoy he was travelling in came under fire in South Lebanon. RTE News reports that a military official says the accused may have opened fire on the UN patrol, but there was no conclusive evidence proving he was the one who injured the peacekeeper, causing his death. More Irish citizens are expected to cross the Rafah Gate from Gaza into Egypt today. 23 were evacuated yesterday, but it's not yet known how many will leave today. Khalid El Astal is an Irish citizen whose mother and wife were killed in Gaza. He hopes to be reunited with his children soon after learning their names are on today's list to cross the border.
They are on the list tonight. They contacted me from Foreign Affairs. They are now trying to cross from Rafah crossing board from Rafah to the Egyptian side. I was hoping my wife could do it with them, but yeah, at least that's what they will to take care of the children.
Sinn Féin's finance spokesperson says local business leaders have a key role to play in bringing the North West City region to its full potential, but it cannot be done without targeted government support. Donegal Deputy Pearse Doherty was speaking ahead of a business breakfast being hosted by himself and MLA Conor Murphy, a former finance minister at Stormont, tomorrow morning at the Ingraining Hotel in Burt. Deputy Doherty says the cross-border gathering will give them a chance to outline Sinn Féin's policies and hopes for the region, but more importantly, it will allow business leaders from Donegal and Derry outline their perspectives.
It's an opportunity for us to have a chat with business leaders, but also for business leaders to make their views heard in relation to how do we unlock the potential of the Northwest. The problems are there for everybody to see in terms of infrastructure, in terms of productivity, depopulation and low incomes, low wages and high levels of deprivation in the Northwest region. You have to take your lead in a lot of these from businesses. They're the people who are at the cutting edge. They're the people who are able to identify what the new technologies are, where the new opportunities are.
Weather now turning cloudy with outbreaks of rain developing this morning and into the early afternoon. Highest temperatures of 6 to 8 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, you can keep up to date with the latest local news on our website, highlandradio.com. Good morning.
To help with the cost of heating your home during the winter months, the Fuel Allowance Scheme is now available. This allowance is paid at a rate of €33 a week for 28 weeks. To find out more and check your eligibility, visit gov.ie/fuel allowance. The quickest and easiest way to apply is online at mywelfare.ie. One payment per household. A Government of Ireland initiative. Brought to you by the Department of Social Protection.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning to you. 4 minutes past 9 on this Thursday, the 16th of November 2023. You're very welcome along to the 9 till Noon Show. How are you all keeping? I hope you're doing very well indeed, of course, and we want you involved in the show today. You can just sit back, relax and listen, that's up to you. But if you've got a view that you want to get off your chest or contribute, or if there's something that you think we should be talking about, well, then you get the phone out and you open up WhatsApp or SMS and text 086 60 25,000. If you prefer to send a voice message, you can send that to us on WhatsApp on 086 60 25,000. Just hold down the little microphone and release when you're ready to go. You can also give us a call, 07491 25,000, 07491 25,000. And emails come in to us at comments@highlandradio.com. Rightio. Let's see what's making the news in the newspapers. We'll start with the Tyrconnell Tribune this morning. John McAteer writes that the issue of clerical sex abuse that has haunted the Diocese of Raphoe for close to a century is back in the news once again. The name of paedophile priest Con Cunningham is back in the national headlines due to concerns that he's living close to a primary school in Dublin and an apartment complex where children play unsupervised. He was placed on the sex offenders register in 2018. Very detailed report on that on the inside and front of that paper this morning. The Donegal News this morning. Donegal County Council has confirmed that it is cooperating fully with Gardaí as part of an investigation into allegations of corruption within the council. The claims of corruption relate to the purchase by the council of 5 houses in Buncrana containing defective concrete blocks in March of 2021. The allegations were made later that year by Councillor Frank McBurty. The council has confirmed to the Donegal News that Gardaí are now investigating the complaints as they must. A council spokesperson said the council is cooperating fully with the Gardaí and expects to be vindicated in due course. It does not propose to make any further statement or answer any further questions on the matter so as not to interfere with the Garda investigation. The Derry News this morning. A Derry autistic advocate and author has questioned what he described as the negative portrayal of autistic people perpetrated by autism charities and non-profit organisations. Speaking to the Derry News, Jude Morrow, who himself is autistic, said autistic people face huge unconscious negative bias as a result. The author of 4 books to date, including Loving Your Place on the Spectrum, a neurodiversity blueprint, elaborated typically where people go when they hear autistic is the lack of social skills, the lack of communication skills, difficulty being organised. These are the negatives people go to. And we had quite an interesting and long conversation with Jude on this show a couple of weeks ago where he was speaking on that in great detail as well. Made a lot of sense in what he was saying. The Donegal Democrat this morning, the owner of the Ringfort Inn, has confirmed his intention to house around 150 Ukrainian refugees in the Brookles Guest House. Amid concerns of a group of locals who have scheduled a public meeting for this Sunday, Robert Lynch says he plans to have the building, which has been vacant since 2012, occupied by Ukrainian refugees by January or February at the latest. Remedial works are ongoing at the Ringfort Inn, which Mr Lynch says will consist of 22 bedrooms when the works are completed. In July, the Minister for Housing, Darragh O'Brien, signed an order which allows vacant buildings to house refugees for a period of 5 years without planning permission. Latest figures show that 7,006 Ukrainian refugees are now living in Donegal. There have been 60 objections against planned development works at the Ringfort Inn. So I wonder, is there an arrangement in place with the government to actually use that, or is he developing it in the hope that it might attract that clientele? It'd be interesting. It might be in the inside of the paper. I didn't get a chance to read the full article, but has a agreement in principle been signed that it would be Ukrainian refugees in the Ringfort Inn? The Irish Independent this morning, there's always a worry around things, aren't they? Well, if you've got a pay cap of €250,000, well, you can take more days off in a year, and then it's not really a pay cut at all, is it? Well, RTE stars hit by a €250,000 pay cap will be able to get more money per day for working less. Joe Duffy, Claire Byrne and Miriam O'Callaghan are currently on salaries above the limit. Director General Kevin Backhurst says stars above the cap may be able to negotiate to work fewer days. They'd be paid more per day, but they'd keep their salary under €250,000. As I say, there's always a way around these things, isn't there? Okay, on to the Irish Times this morning. And the first Irish citizens to escape from Gaza since war erupted there a month ago crossed into Egypt yesterday amid hopes that more will be able to follow in the coming days. And this is a really important story, and I'm very pleased for these people to have escaped that hellhole at the moment. But sometimes we as human beings look for a little bit of positivity to make ourselves feel better. And that can sometimes be at the expense of thinking about the wider picture. So whilst it's good that a handful of Irish people have escaped Gaza, and it's very good news, the rest who have no option, the rest of the people stuck in that enclave who have no options, no way of getting through that border, are still facing the wrath of Israeli bombs and tank fire and weapons and what have you. So as I say, whilst this is good news, I don't think it should overshadow the absolute nightmare millions, hundreds of thousands of people are living in. Well, Tánaiste Micheál Martin, who travelled to Egypt as part of intense diplomatic efforts and will visit Israel and Palestine today, confirmed that 23 Irish citizens and their dependents exited Gaza yesterday and were received at the Rafah crossing by a team from the embassy in Cairo. The Irish Daily Mail, what are your views on assisted dying? Do you believe it's something that we should facilitate? So if someone has a terminal illness, that they can choose on their grounds to pass away earlier than nature might have it? Or does that go against what you believe in? Nationally, 75% we're told of the Irish public support assisted dying. This is in the Irish Daily Mail. 3/4 of the public believe assisted dying should be permitted in cases where people have a life-limiting or terminal illness. In a survey of 1,000 adults by Amarak Research on behalf of DMG Media, 75% said they were in favour of allowing assisted dying in such cases in Ireland. The government is currently weighing up whether to legislate on the issue, and a special Oireachtas committee tasked with exploring the idea is ongoing. This was spurred on by the success of the Dying with Dignity Bill in the Dáil in 2020, which was supported by the late cervical check campaigner Vicky Phelan, whose 1-year anniversary fell this week. And as I say, in other countries where this is legal, you know, I've seen of and heard of cases where people were at the beginning of a journey, relatively speaking, of MS, for an example, and chose to and were able to end their life. Could this put pressure on older people who have a life limiting or terminal illness that they don't want to be a burden? You know, what kind of a country would this make us? What do you think? Apparently, according to this survey, I'm not sure how big the poll was, but it was done through Amarak, which is a respected outlet. 75% of you out there apparently support assisted dying. Now, it would be useful to get your views, but also not, especially if it's framed in a life experience whereby you lost someone and both of you would have agreed that if this was in, you would have chosen that option. Be very interested to speak to you. Or perhaps you were with someone who was very sick, had a life-limiting or terminal illness, and you would have hated that option because it could have put pressure on their final months and years. As I say, it'd be very interesting to get various views on this. And you know yourself, you can WhatsApp or text us on 08660 25,000. There does seem to be a move towards the introduction of assisted dying here. The Irish Farmers Journal this morning, new TB control measures which could curtail the buying and selling of cattle could be rolled out out in parts of the country. The move was proposed by the Department of Agriculture to its scientific working group on Bounty TB. This would see cattle herds and regions classified by TB risk, a move which the group admitted would undoubtedly impact on the cattle trade if adopted. The change could restrict farmers in low-risk TB areas from buying animals from high-risk areas in order to stem the spread of the disease. Now, just turn into page 7 here. They don't have the pages numbered. Oh, yes, they do. Right now, I was just seeing if they had a breakdown of the regions that are seen as high or low risk, but no, they don't currently. The Irish Daily Star today, Taoiseach Leo Varadkar accused Sinn Féin of having a policy of shouting down or suing the media and other political parties. Sinn Féin has faced criticism in recent weeks after its TD Chris Andrews took legal action against Irish Times journalist Harry McGee. The party's leader, Mary Lou McDonald, has previously defended the right of individual Sinn Féin politicians to take action against the press in a manner they deem appropriate, including suing the media. Ms McDonald has also been accused of mounting a strategic lawsuit against public participation against members of the media, a claim she was rejected. But there are other ways and other parties that find other ways of trying to stifle what the media say or questions that the media ask. It's not exclusive to Sinn Féin. There are other examples that you would see whereby the same result could be achieved, but it's done in a different way. It was quite interesting to see because the Irish Times, I believe, is one of the papers that's being sued, but they covered that story yesterday or online at the very least, and they had a screen grab of the Dáil proceedings, and it's not very favourable to Mary Lou McDonald, which I thought was really quite interesting. Worth looking at if you see, because she looks like she's scowling, and it's not a very flattering picture. So maybe there's a little bit of a back and forth going on there. The Sun this morning: the dreaded winter virus that affects almost all children is on the rise in Ireland. Cases of respiratory syncytial virus, RSV, have more than doubled in a week, with parents urged to keep infants away from crowds. Dr. Colm Henry, Chief Clinical Officer at the HSE, said you can reduce the chance of infection by keeping hands clean, covering coughs and sneezes, and having your child's vaccines up to date. RSV is a common virus and is the main cause of bronchiolitis and pneumonia in the very young. And it was in our house at Christmas last year, and I was in now, Doc, and what have you. So not nice when it's about. And finally, in the Mirror today, nearly 1,400 Gardaí are currently off sick. On sick leave, new figures released by the Justice Minister reveal some 508 have been out over 28 days, according to the figures provided to Fianna Fáil Cavan Monaghan TD Niamh Smith following a parliamentary question. This is labelled as an exclusive, but it was an answer given in the Dáil to a parliamentary question. She had asked Minister Helen McEntee the number of police, or Gardaí, or cops as they call them, that are out sick by division and how many are on long leave. She also asked for information on how many people are on a career break and when they are due back. Minister McEntee confirmed that as of October 4, there were 1,376 people out sick. This included 508 who were out for more than 58 days. We must get in contact with her office to see if we can get a regional breakdown there. It's not published in the papers, but it was requested by that TD. It'd be interesting to see what the level of absenteeism is up here, or those on sick leave. Right, good morning, Paul, Annie, Audrey, Josephine, Beth. They're amongst the crew watching on our social media. We invite you, if you wish, to go onto YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland. If you're at home, you can watch us on your big screen TV. If you've got a smart TV, which most people have at this stage, the YouTube app is there. It's on your Fire Stick as well. Many of you have those. Or you can watch across your mobile devices, your laptops and what have you. And we're also on Facebook, Highland Hub, Highland Radio News and Sport.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra Mountaintop Letterkenny, the C-Store National Large Forecourt of the Year for 2022.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Adult Safeguarding Day takes place this month. Safeguarding involves keeping ourselves free from harm and protecting our rights. This includes all adults planning ahead to reduce the risk of adult abuse.
Go-to actions that we can all take to plan ahead are to make an enduring power of attorney, designate a health representative, and choose who can assist with decisions. From Safeguarding Ireland, supported by the HSE.
Get informed at safeguardingday.ie.
What if you could send a free chocolate bar in secret to someone special? Just to, give them a little lift. With the Cadbury Secret Santa Postal Service, you can send free chocolate secretly from a poster. They're popping up all over the country, from great big cities to quaint little towns. Look out for a poster near you or search Cadbury Secret Santa to find out more. 18 plus, free service on selected products while stocks last until December the 24th. For full terms and conditions, visit cadbury.ie.
Kenny
Tinny's Toys, Ireland's largest farm toy superstore, isn't just about farm toys. We've loads of fun outdoor toys for kids, such as electric scooters, crazy carts, electric quads, jeeps, tractors, and so much more. Hassle-free parking at the door with no traffic jams. Our Christmas club is now open too, and a wee deposit secures your item. Tinny's Toys, Leck Road, Letterkenny, or online at tinnystoys.com. Lay down.
Brendan here from Kelly's Toyota. We're kicking off 241 with an open weekend from 17th to the 19th of November. Do call in to view our extensive range of hybrid electric vehicles, including the all-new CHR and the Corolla Cross. Looking forward to seeing you this weekend at Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny.
Shop Evolve Clothing for Calvin Klein, Tommy Hilfiger, Paul and Shark, Gant, and many more casual and streetwear brands. Menswear Superstore, Letterkenny Retail Park, or online at evolveclothing.com. 2 floors of fashion, open 7 days.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
It's 9:20. Good morning to you. Colette joins us now. Colette, how are you getting on?
I'm not too bad, Greg. Thank you.
All right. Now, the reason you're speaking to us is a really long wait for your son to be seen by ENT. What's the situation, Colette?
Well, he has been seen by them. This is going on now for over a year. He's got eustachian tube dysfunction, and this has gone on since last January. He's had 6 or 7 appointments with the ENT, and he's got fluid in his ear, and it's causing popping. It's pressure in his ear. He said about 6 or 7 appointments. They keep giving him steroids, keep giving him stuff for the ear, but the same thing is happening. And they keep saying, come back in 3 months' time, come back in 3 months, see if it's gone. And this has affected his life. It's had a serious impact on his life. It's affecting that he's actually had a lot of time off work because it's causing a lot of dizziness. There's blood coming out of his nose. There's like glue, like snot coming out of his nose. He's stopped socialising. He stopped going to his training. We've told him it's had a big impact on his mental health. He's actually had to take anti-anxiety medication, and because of this, and they told him the mental health team would get in contact with him. This is over a year ago. Not one person has contacted him. That's over a year ago. We've spent over €1,000 on medication and doctors. He's been to A&E about 5 times because of the pressure in his ear that he couldn't cope with it. It's like he says, he feels like he's underwater all the time, and the pressure, he says, is just unbearable at times, and it just feels like it's going. You know yourself, like if you're underwater all the time, the pressure in your head, like when there's something in your head, he says it's unbearable. Yeah. But they keep saying to him, so he was at the last appointment, and they said that they would put grommets in. This procedure takes 10 minutes to do. That's what they told him the last time. It takes 10 minutes to do, to put grommets in. And then they said they would do balloon dilation. So we went to the person that does the balloon dilation, and she says there's a big long waiting list for the balloon dilation. This is you could get the grommets in, and he says I'll take whatever is the quickest. So then he had heard them when he rang up again. He says, like, I've heard nothing again since. And he says, well, you actually refused the balloon dilation. He says, I've never refused the balloon dilation, as I'll take whatever is the quickest. So they had on his notes that he had refused the balloon dilation, which wasn't the case. He says, I'll take whatever is the quickest option to get rid of this pain. He says, this has impacted my life completely. Like, he's 30 plus years of age, and it's completely put his life on standstill.
There's no escape from this either. It's continuous. No. And one of the symptoms as well is that it's like when you really put your fingers in your ear, you can hear your own voice when you're speaking, and the gurgles and bubbles and noises from within your body, you can hear them as well. Does it affect him like that also?
all the time. He says it's just a constant pressure. He says, and like, you know, his nose is the stuff coming out of his nose constantly, blood, and like, you know, he says it's dizziness, and this has impacted his job because he can't actually do his job, because when he gets the dizziness, he can't actually do his job. Obviously, you know, if you're dizzy. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you can't do whatever the job he's doing. He can't actually do it because of the dizziness. He's explained this to him, but they just seem to be, they're turning a blind eye to it. Like, you know, a year is a long time to be putting up with this here. Like, you know, they're talking about young men's mental health problems, but they don't seem to be doing anything about it. We've explained this. We've been ringing. Like, you know, we don't have a medical card, and every time we go to the doctor, like, he's not running to the doctor for the good of his, you know, just to be throwing out €60 every time. Like, you know, I mean, do they not see this? And we just want to know, maybe you could maybe find out answers.
No, of course, we're going
to
check it out. Colette, have you looked at the National Treatment Purchase Fund? Has anyone mentioned that to you, whereby if you're on a waiting list, that you can go and get the grommets in, or the balloons in Galway, in the Galway Private Hospital, for an example? Has the National Treatment Purchase Fund been mentioned at all, or would he qualify for that?
No, we've never heard tell of that. We've actually asked the last time we were at, because I actually went up with him the last time to see, and we says, like, you know, can we go private? He says, it'll not make any difference if you go private. You're still going to be waiting the same length of time, because we're willing to pay anything at this stage to get him free from the symptoms. You'll still be waiting the same length of time. So that's what we were told. So, like, you know, we're willing to go and see someone, go pay private or whatever to get this sorted for him. But that's all we're being told each time. Come back in 3 months, come back. And like, he's got another appointment now next Thursday. But again, he says, oh, sure, I'll be told again, come back in another 3 months' time again. Like, you know, we're getting just pushed back. Every time we go, we're being pushed back again. Like, he can't go on much longer. He actually said to me the last day, you know, I'd rather be deaf now than go through this, you know, in 1 year, than to go through this pressure that I'm actually feeling. Like, you know, his life has been on hold this last year. He's given up training, which he was actually competing in competitions, and the training that he was doing, he's actually had to give up this last year as well, which is sad for a young fella at this age to stop socialising. Like, you know, I don't think they'd put one of their own members of their own family through this if they, you know what I mean? Like, you know, what is wrong with the health system at this stage? I don't know if any other body has experienced the same. You know, I'd like to hear if anybody else experienced
No, for sure. But I would like you just to make some inquiries as it relates to the National Treatment Purchase Fund too, because supposedly, you know, it is to facilitate the treatment in certain categories.
I'll just write that
just
down.
The NTPF, if you Google it and go onto their website. Maybe some listeners out. Purchase Fund. Right. Now, I don't know how it works now, but I know my own son needed grommets, and there was a huge waiting list, and we ended up getting an appointment quite quickly down in Galway for grommets to be installed. Now, he was younger at the time, and I'm not looking to give you false hope, but I just want you to be able to look. I can't believe no one has mentioned that to you unless it doesn't apply. No. So we'll throw it out to the listeners. We're going to make inquiries, of course, with the HSE, but we'll throw it out to the listeners if they have any advice as to how this can be expedited. Because, you know, I'm not saying this only because you said it, but his mental health is so greatly affected that he has in the past said that he'd almost prefer not to be here than to endure what he's doing. I mean, no parent ever wants to hear that.
No, exactly. Like, you know, they're talking, like, there's young men, they're out there, like, you know, and so much has happened. Like, why do you want to hear that? Like, you know, I mean, I think it's absolutely ridiculous at the minute, the way things are going, that anybody should put a young fella or any young girl through that. Like, you know, why would anybody want to put anybody through that? And do they not realise? And, like, over a year, and they say the mental health team would contact them, and not one person has gave us a call. So that goes to show you're only a number in this society at the minute.
Right, okay. All right, listen, well, as I say, between what listeners might have to contribute, we'll make our inquiries, and maybe you can just have a look at the NTPF there, and hopefully we can get somewhere, Colette, so he gets his life back, because it's unbearable what he's having to endure at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you so
much.
Fair
play, Colette, for advocating on his behalf.
Bye-bye.
You're very good. Okay, take care of yourself. 086 60 25,000. Any input into that, please let us know. Right, okay. We are going to take a quick break. then our next guest joins us.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
It's flu season, and while anyone can catch the flu, it can cause serious illness in children. The flu virus spreads easily from person to person. That's why children, aged 2 to 12, can now get a free flu vaccine. It's given through a nasal spray and provides safe and effective protection from the flu. So don't delay. Book a free appointment with your GP or pharmacist and protect your family from the flu this winter. Visit hse.ie/flu for more information. From the HSE.
Please listen to Nesma, a UNICEF aid worker in Gaza.
I have 2 daughters, Talia and Zain. They are 4 and 7 years old. Zain keeps asking for regular water that we drink on regular days. My mission in life has become to keep them alive.
Nesma only has salty water to give to her daughters, which she knows will make them sick. UNICEF is on the ground providing water, but we urgently need your help. Please visit unicef.ie today and help save a child's life. Thank you.
All you need to make your house a home at Patterson's The Hall Lifford. Christmas Layaway Club now open with lots of Christmas gift ideas in store, like Hollywood mirrors, dressing tables, beanbags and much more. Need a new mattress? Visit our sleep centre on the first floor with quality beds and mattresses at discount prices. In stock and ready for immediate collection or delivery. Open Monday to Saturday 9 a.m. till 5:30 p.m. with hot lunches served daily in our coffee shop. Patterson's Kitchens and Interiors. The Hall Lifford.
The Hyundai Electric family, designed for yours. The Ioniq 5 with a range of up to 507 kilometres. The all-new Kona with a range of up to 514 kilometres. And the Ioniq 6 with a range of up to 614 kilometres. Hyundai, our family, designed for yours.
Your local dealer is Divers Hyundai, Canal Road, Letterkenny. Call 91 22 600.
On Friday, December the 1st, join us at the Silver Tassie Hotel, Letterkenny for the famous Northwest Breast Cancer Ball. It's a dazzling dinner dance not to be missed and an opportunity for the community to come together and celebrate breast cancer Northwest and support the tremendous work being done. Our special guest is Virgin Media's Ciara Doherty. Tickets priced €50 are available at the Silver Tassie, Letterkenny. Drinks reception and fine dining and dancing. Dress to impress and let the festivities begin.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. It's good to have you on board this morning. Right, we are discussing Kilmacrennan now, and we go to Independent Councillor John O'Donnell. Good morning to you, John. Thanks for joining us today.
Morning, Greg. Morning to your listeners.
Right, okay, so for those who may not be aware, describe this junction that you have, or many people have concerns about.
Yeah, it's the main intersection in the middle of the village of Kilmacrennan. It's a four-way junction leading to Churchill, Milford, and then the M56, the main corridor to the west of Donegal, leads through it from Letterkenny all the way down to Bunbeg and Gweedore and stuff. So just, I suppose, we're very, very concerned as local residents, Greg. You've heard us on numerous amount of times, and you know, it's got to the stage now that something's going to have to be done. Because I certainly am very, very concerned about somebody being very seriously injured at this junction.
What do you think makes this junction so particularly dangerous?
Well, I suppose it has become very, very dangerous both in the last 10 years because there was a realignment done in Kilmacrennan about 10 years ago. And they took all the parking on the left-hand side of the lower main street away, and they put down double yellow lines. So they've widened out the carriageway and made it more straight through. And there's no cars parked there. So they've created a much faster corridor and more straight alignment for people to travel through. And then you have a dangerous blind junction there, and people are struggling trying to get out onto the road. And if you've seen the volume of traffic, like the amount of traffic that's on the road, as you know, Greg, like every house nearly has 2 cars now. And the amount of traffic that's on the road and the volume of traffic that travels through Kilmacrennan, and there's no real traffic calming measures. And I do believe that we need to, number one, we need to narrow the corridors to make traffic calming, but we also need to put a traffic light controlled junction at this junction. And everybody that I'll be speaking to is singing off the same hymn sheet, like, and all my elected members agree as well that something needs to be done as a matter of urgency. So
now, this is not really the council are kind of a wee bit hamstrung here. This is a junction, a road that's Transport Infrastructure Ireland have responsibility for, and we know they can be hard to get to the table to discuss changes to roads, because then there's surveys and then there's this and that and the other. You know, it can be a long drawn out process at times.
Yeah, exactly. It's under the control of the TII. You're spot on, Greg. And I suppose I'm the chairperson of the roads SPC for the whole county, and I'll be engaging with the TII on an ongoing basis. And I also go as a delegation on an annual basis to Dublin to make representations for all the new road network upgrades that we need in Donegal, and also for my own municipal district. So this is one that's been on the priority list every time I've went. And, you know, I just feel that we need to maybe step out past TII and get an independent review on this, an independent review of the safety audit, because, you know, we're waiting on them to do something. And like, as I said to you, Greg, like, even last week, well, in fairness, last week there was an accident there, but it was a mechanical failure of a car. But, you know, I'm standing at that junction because I'm there every day of the week. I have an office in that area and I have a number of buildings. And, you know, you're standing there directing traffic around an accident. You have your local constituents and local people from the area and people from further afield that know you and know that you've been mentioning this junction. And you're standing out directing traffic around another accident. You just feel like, you know, there was the one particular constituent looked at me and was absolutely fuming. And I can't blame them. But, you know, something needs to be done, Greg, and that's the reason I've made it so strong the last day, my point across to the executive of the council, and I do believe that they are going to maybe act on it now following the motion, and the full support of all the members as well we had that day. I mean, there is also an issue, is there not, from one of the roads leading to that junction? There's quite a lot of residential property up that road and no safe footpath or means for a person to walk into Kilmacrennan. Yeah, well, look, I suppose there's the footpath is an issue also. But what I would say is we also need we need a controlled crossing at that junction, because, Greg, like, we have the local national school there that's on the far side of that junction up the Cochin Road heading towards Churchill. We have the local church there as well, so we do. And, you know, you have parishioners and you have pupils heading to school, and you have parents there trying to cross in the morning and the evening. Like, and I'm seeing them myself every day of the week with my own eyes. And, like, you know, as I said to the executive on Tuesday, like, there's no point me bringing a local roads engineer from Donegal County Council out, because they can do nothing, number one, but number two, they're fully aware of it. So we need to get somebody from the TII, or we need to get an independent report, safety audit done, so that somebody will see the dangers that is arising from the speed of the traffic and the volume of traffic going through the town, and the I suppose the concealedness of that entrance as well that people trying to get across. Because, you know, if you get an opening at all, you're just trying to dart across and hope for the best, and that's no joke. Like, in response to you raising this issue. You were told the road safety engineer has carried out an investigation of the location, and the design of a signage and lining enhancement scheme will be completed this week, and the works program will be carried out as soon as is possible. Does that go far enough, though? An absolute waste of time. They can line all they want and they can talk about signage all they want, but at the end of the day, until you get a controlled junction so that people can, like, you can line all you want, but that still doesn't help people trying to cross the road. No, and if you're coming from Milford, there's two big red stop signs. There's a stop on the road itself. I mean, what else could be added there? Clearly, what's there at the moment is not adequate. As you say, the traffic going from Letterkenny to Letterkenny to the likes of Creaselake's bombing it down there and up there. Yeah, indeed. And look, at the end of the day, you know, they were on before about putting a go safe van on there for the check for the speed. Like, it's what's point shooting fish in a barrel. Like, at the end of the day, if the road's not designed for to be able to reduce traffic speed, get into a village down to 50 kilometres, that's not the road users' fault neither. And, like, we all know the amount of roads and villages that you enter that's 50 kilometres, that maybe the signs could be overgrown for the want of hedges to be cut and maintenance, or maybe that the sign's been turned around the other way by maybe a bit of local blackguardism and young boys and girls meaning no harm and doing what they're doing, and then all of a sudden the motorist is coming and he's a victim. So it's not about putting go safe vans or anything in place. It's about reducing the speed of the vehicles coming into the town and putting safety measures in the junction that people can cross that carriageway safely. There's not another village, I would say, in Ireland that has an intersection like that that's not controlled with some type of controlled lighting signals and reducing traffic to make sure that pedestrians and motorists can cross safely. And I would stand to be corrected in that, because this is a main, as you know yourself, Greg, you're a Donegal man, you travel that road often, and you go down through Kilmacrenna, and that's the main corridor from Letterkenny to the whole west of Donegal. If you're heading for Creeslet, Dunfanaghy, Falcara, Gweedore, that's the road you go.
Okay, well, we'll see. Keep us updated on it, because we just don't want to be in a situation where we've had severe warnings, a couple of crashes, more than a couple. We don't want to be in a situation that someone gets knocked down or there's a fatal collision there, and then we'll all be saying, well, we told you so. You know what I mean? That's the last thing anyone wants.
Well, that's exactly, and I think, Greg, you've hit the nail on the head. Nobody wants to be standing back saying, I told you so. We just want the problem addressed. And what I would say to you is the reason that I'm raising it so often is because for some reason it's getting more and more common. It's happening far more often. And I want to thank you, Greg, for giving us the time on the airwaves this morning to let the constituents that I represent as well know that I am doing my level best to get this addressed. And, I just hope to God now that the council does listen to us and engage an independent body to do a safety audit on it to get it done as a matter of urgency.
All right, thanks very much indeed, Independent Councillor John O'Donnell there. Greg, I mentioned this yesterday. Nice to hear you use a clothes horse. I'm the only one in my large family who uses one. I'd be lost without it. That comes in from Mary. Thanks, Mary. Random text. I appreciate it. But I think they're brilliant. They dry clothes really, really quickly and they save you a fortune. I got one that you can extend the arms out on it, and you get 2 loads of washing on it. It's fantastic. And it doesn't create an awful lot of dampness in the house either, I don't find anyway. Why can't driving instructors just give the test at the end of the course of lessons? Yeah, I mean, why can't... There's lots of things that could be done differently here. Like, why can't every garage do MOTs, providing that they meet the requirements. NCTs, sorry, I'm thinking of what they do in Northern Ireland. So you could go to your local garage, Highland Motors or Inishowen Motors or Anthony Connor or wherever it might be, and you could get your car serviced and tested there and then. That would be so much handier. We wouldn't be waiting 6 months to get an NCT. But again, we could have a situation whereby driving instructors could perform the test. I've never heard that proposed before, actually. Everyone's always talking about health and safety. What about bin lorries, asks a caller. Are they exempt? The young lads round the back, no cages or nothing. They could take a turn and fall off. What is the stance on health and safety? Is it hazardous? Are they exempt? I mean, maybe it is hazardous, but they're often jumping from house to house, and it's not something that bothers me, but I understand where you're coming from and respect your view there. Hi, Greg. Old fridges and freezers can start to run more often and for longer amounts of time because when they start to run low on gas, this can send electricity bills through the roof, and water pumps can do the same if there is a pressure fault. Best regards. That's off the back of some people finding spikes in their electricity bills. Many people putting it down to smart meters because that's the only thing that's changed for them over the last wee while. We had a great conversation yesterday about bus escorts. I was familiar with the work, but I wasn't familiar with their issues as it relates to their terms and conditions. We had some of you would have other things to do between 11 and 12, so I understand that you can't listen to all of the show, though I don't like it, but anyway, I'm only joking. But we had a very interesting conversation at the end of yesterday's show about bus escorts and how they're being treated and what they want, etc. And you can listen to the podcast, which is on our website, or if you wanted to re-watch it, go onto YouTube and just watch yesterday's show. It's from about 20 to 12. But these listeners say, my mother is one of the bus escorts. She leaves the house just after 6 a.m. every morning to take young, vulnerable children to school at 9. These escorts get absolutely nothing, but they give everything to the children to ensure they are safe and happy, going to school and talking with them about their day at school. It's really unfair how they're treated. Another, hi Greg, just on the bus escort discussion, I have a family member who does this role. I'm shocked and disappointed how the escorts have been treated over the years. Their job is so vital for all the children and their families with special needs. It's not an easy job, but they show up every day making a difference for the children and young people with complex needs. They give so much to the families. It's time they were paid and treated fairly. A rise in their pay and paid for holidays like Christmas, Easter and summer, all bank holidays like SNAs, teachers and other professionals in the education system. Thanks to Anne and Breed for highlighting this matter. It's very important something changes for their profession. Thank you for these professionals. Indeed. And just that whole process, and I know from speaking to school secretaries and caretakers over the years, and also seasonal workers, this whole crack of having to sign on every time, you know, it's summer holidays time, the delay in payments, the level of payments, it's just an old-fashioned way of doing it. We heard from Pádraig McLaughlin, Sinn Féin, and it's on the record of committed. If this current government does it, they've committed to address that situation. So I'm a bus driver for special needs school. Most, if not all, bus drivers are on a minimum wage. Re the bus escorts. I'm a bus driver. I don't get the wages they get. I have a bigger responsibility. I've spent €2,500 to get a bus licence. I've never seen them do anything other than put a seatbelt on. Are they trained in first aid if there was a medical emergency? This is just the latest group jumping on the bandwagon for extra money. A couple of messages in there from bus drivers. I don't know. Why don't you align yourselves with them, though, and go down the route of a rising tide lifting all boats? Right. An interesting and troubling story coming out of Omagh, and this is an ongoing noise. It's a persistent noise. It's been reported by residents in Omagh, and it's impacting on their ability to sleep, and of course then that has a knock-on effect in other areas of their lives. Alliance Councillor Stephen Donnelly joins us now. Good morning, Stephen.
Good morning.
Right, so can you describe what residents of Omagh are enduring for us?
So it's been quite a strange situation, but as far back as maybe three or 4 weeks ago, we started receiving complaints. Initially, we thought it was from the southeast of the town, but it later transpired that it was across the wider geography of the town itself, that essentially there's been a prolonged and sustained buzz or hum happening late at night, usually after 11 o'clock or midnight, which sometimes is accompanied by vibration, and it tends to be sort of received by different people in different areas differently, but in a lot of cases, it's been incredibly disturbing and discomforting, and people have found that it's occasionally made it difficult for them to sleep. So we've been dealing with it as a serious issue of noise pollution.
And it sounds omnidirectional, which means it's at a frequency that can be hard to sort of ascertain where it's coming from, what's creating it.
I think that's what's been a little bit baffling about the situation, because as you can imagine, in local government, we get complaints about noise pollution all the time, and they tend to be relatively easy to resolve. And in this particular case, once I had requested that the council investigate the matter, and they had people on the ground, and it was confirmed that there was a problem, unfortunately, the technology that the council had in its possession was not sufficient to be able to pinpoint the exact source, or indeed to confirm the possibility that it may actually be a multitude of sources that are contributing to the problem.
And is it likely to be like waterworks, a pump? What particularly could be running at night? This is not being heard during the day, or is it drowned out by the hustle and bustle of daily activity, I wonder?
I think that's a possibility, because the time of day that it becomes most tangible is at the point whenever traffic is at its lowest. So that is indeed a possibility. And there's been some early speculation that it could potentially be something to do with generators at night, possibly could be something to do with power lines. But the honest answer at this stage is that the technology that is being used to look at this is not sufficient to be able to pinpoint this directly. So for us, we need to be able to procure that additional expertise and equipment to be able to make sure that we can actually establish the facts and then be able to act on an informed basis.
Do you think it's likely that whomever might have responsibility over whatever is generating this noise might know it's a problem but are saying nothing? Or do you think this is actually maybe no one, even the person responsible or persons or organisation don't know it?
I mean, at this stage, I think it's just too early to know. It's quite possible that whoever is responsible, or indeed if it's a multitude of people are responsible, they may not realise that potentially whatever it is contributing to a number of factors that are meaning that there is a significant degree of noise pollution at night. But that is something that's going to have to be clarified, because there are a considerable number of people that are concerned about this, and we deserve to see some action.
Yeah, and the action could be taken. There are obviously tools and powers that the council possess to crack down on this, but you have to find the source before that can be done.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that could end up presenting a challenge, especially if it does turn out to be the case that it is a multitude of sources, because obviously if you then establish the sources, you then need to kind of make sure that you get that evidence base and then demonstrate that there is noise pollution coming forth from those particular sources. So this undoubtedly will not be solved overnight, but certainly whatever can be done should be done to try and get a solution to this.
Yeah, all right. Listen, thanks for your time. Alliance Councillor Stephen Donnelly, if you're in the Omagh area listening to us, can you give us a call and let us know what that hum is like? 00353 7491 25,000.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Have you got a one-for-all gift card that you've yet to spend? Now is the perfect time. Spend with any of our retail partners nationwide or online before December 31st, and you could win one of 3 €5,000 prizes. Simply spend your gift card and visit oneforall.ie/redeem for your chance to win. Terms and conditions apply. The One for All gift card is issued by GVS Prepaid Europe Limited. GVS Prepaid Europe Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Dunstore's Christmas pre-order service lets you enjoy the Christmas you deserve. Order the stars of your table like free-range turkey and ham as early as November 15th for collection or delivery between the 20th and 23rd of December. So while you're planning the perfect Christmas for your guests, let us do some of the work for you. Now available nationwide. Visit dunstoresgrocery.com to find your nearest store. Make Christmas for everyone at Dunn Stores. Subject to availability. Terms and conditions apply.
Uisce Éireann is Ireland's national water utility, responsible for delivering clean, safe and reliable national public drinking water and wastewater services for Ireland. For any questions about public water services or to report an issue in your area, we can be contacted 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 1800 278 278 or visit water.ie. Uisce Éireann. Delivering water services for Ireland.
Inishowen Development Partnership in collaboration with the HSE are holding a health and social care recruitment and education fair on Tuesday the 21st of November in the Inishowen Gateway Hotel, Buncrana. Discover exciting career opportunities in the healthcare sector, connect with industry professionals and explore educational pathways. Don't miss this chance to shape your future in health and social care. That's Tuesday the 21st of November in the Inishowen Gateway Hotel, Buncrana from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. From condensing oil and HVO biofuel boilers to heat pumps and underfloor heating, you can trust Grant to heat your home. Visit grant.ie.
So there was some mist around this morning. That is starting to clear now. Turning cloudy with outbreaks of rain developing during the morning or early afternoon. Bright spells and showers will follow as the rain clears eastwards by early evening. Temperatures today of 6 to 8 degrees. Now, before I get to some more of your comments, just to let you know that coming up after 11, Alison Byrne will be joining us to take your questions on understanding what your dreams mean. Now, I have a number of recurring dreams. Maybe you're a lucid dreamer, which means you can control your dreams as you sleep. I don't know, but lots and lots of us have queries as to what our dreams actually mean. So if you have a recurring dream and you've often thought, well, what does that actually mean? It'd be lovely to speak to you on air as well, but that's not essential because then you can sort of tease it out and explain other aspects of the dream. But anyway, if you want to understand what your dreams mean, call or text us on 07491 25,000 or text or WhatsApp your questions to 086 60 25,000. So Alison's going to be deciphering your dreams and telling you what they mean. Now, I imagine when Alison comes on, we'll get quite a rush of calls. So if you want to make sure that your question is answered about what your dream means, please text or WhatsApp us now or give us a call and we can get that question to Alison. Hi, Greg. They need to build a bypass for Kilmacrennan. Maybe they can do it at the same time when they build the Bonagee Bridge. Lol, they say. Yeah, indeed. Hi, Greg. In regards to the bus escorts, yes, I agree that they may deserve a pay rise, but what about the bus driver that have the responsibility of everything on the bus? They aren't even getting minimum wage, and I do understand that. And rather than saying... it's just the tone of... them and us kind of. I don't think that benefits anyone. I don't think bus drivers as such are part of a union, are they? Often self-employed or employed by smaller operators. But if that is a particular issue, let's raise that issue, and it doesn't not necessarily have to chip away at the bus escorts role, because, whilst someone might perceive them as not doing much, let's just say that is a perception. We heard yesterday from parents whose children simply wouldn't go to school if the bus escort wasn't there, that they're a familiar face, they're part of a familiar routine, and we spoke to two parents yesterday. Their children simply wouldn't be at school if it wasn't for bus escorts. So, I don't think being critical of what they're doing benefits another set of workers in seeking improvement in pay, if that makes sense, and I mean that with respect. Joe in Lismonaghan, the traffic on the Ramelton Road has improved from what it was with the Polestar Junction. I wish I could say Lismonaghan has gotten better too. They've moved traffic from one side of the town to another. If nothing is done, it will only get worse. You never really know how, is it improvements or is traffic being displaced? If anybody in Donegal thinks the TII cares about the Donegal roads or people, think again. 3 miles of dual carriageway in 40 years. What does that tell you? Not much. Traffic lights needed at Mountaintop Roundabout, blocked from 8:20 a.m. until 9:15 every weekday morning. It's a funny old roundabout, that, because it needs yellow boxes at the very least, but also there's a peculiar scenario whereby traffic coming up the hill splits into 2 lanes, and then it competes to access a single lane, whilst there are two other roads also trying to get onto that lane. So you've got 2 lanes of traffic coming from one direction, another lane of traffic coming, I don't know where it is, from the 2 other sides. I'm terrible on road names. And it causes, you've got 4 into 1, do you know what I mean? And then cars sit on the roundabout. That roundabout down there, and there's another roundabout in Letterkenny just below us here at the Mountaintop. It needs yellow boxes because cars just sit on it trying to get down towards the hospital, and it's a nightmare. 10-15 minutes you'd be sitting there sometimes. Hi, can you tell that fella with the sinus issue to get his doctor to refer him to Dr. McBride in Ballykelly? I waited a few weeks for this after waiting ages on Letterkenny, and I'm using the cross-border funding. Unfortunately, there is nothing can be done for me, but that fella may get sorted. It's an awful way to live with sinus issues, and I'm sorry nothing can be done for you, but fair play. I didn't know at the time if that would cross-border funding would cover that issue. Okay, so that's very interesting. So there is that option, cross-border funding, Colette, and there's also maybe the National Treatment Purchase Fund. I got grommets in on that. I'm not sure if it applies to an adult or if it's changed. In response to this gentleman speaking, it's all falling on deaf ears until there's a serious incident. Always is. No action is ever taken. That's Councillor O'Donnell and Kilmacrennan there. John has brought so many Ukrainians into Kilmacrennan. This increases the volume of people at his premises on that junction. Kilmacrennan overflowing school volumes, people, etc. Could you ask him his opinion on this? Whether he has or not, and I presume if you say he has, that junction, and I'm familiar with the crashes that have been caused at it, it isn't no way related to refugees. I get it, you're making another point, that's fine, but the last crash, it was someone just came straight across from Milford and smashed into another car. I feel sorry for your caller's son with the ear issue. My younger son had to get grommets in, but long story short, we had to go private to Ballykelly based on the waiting list. He had to be referred through an ear specialist. We were seen quickly, though, and my son is a new person since the minor operation, but it did cost £2,000, which not everyone has, of course, I know, but if one could get the 2,000 together, it's life-changing, isn't it? But maybe there is the cross-border treatment plan, or maybe the National Treatment Purchase Fund. These are options, so hopefully something good comes of it. Right, we'll be back with more after the news and obituary notices.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Return, refund, recycle. Ireland's deposit return scheme is coming. From the 1st of February 2024, when you buy a drink in a bottle or can with the return logo, you'll pay a small deposit. Once you're refreshed, return your empty, undamaged bottle or can to any shop or supermarket and get your deposit back. The result? Less litter, less waste, and better recycling for Ireland. For more, visit return.ie.
McElhinney's are now open every Sunday until Christmas from 1:30 to 6 p.m. Why not gather your friends, enjoy the in-store festive entertainment and tick off everyone's wish lists? Unsure what to get as a gift? The McElhinney's gift card is perfect for the person who already has everything. Shop local this Christmas with McElhinney's.
Go the extra mile with Volvo Electric. Visit McGinley Motors for Volvo Open Week, November 13th to 18th. And get the full experience of the Volvo XC40 and C40 Recharge, each with an extended electric range of up to 570 kilometers. If you order one of these models during Volvo Open Week, you'll receive a complimentary metallic paint upgrade. Find out more about our exclusive offers at volvocast.ie. Terms and conditions apply.
Donegal County Council would like to invite residents of the Donegal Town and Ballybofey-Stranraer areas, members of the public and other interested parties to participate in the third public consultation for the Barnesmore Gap Greenway project. The project is currently in Phase 2 option selection, and the purpose of the consultation is to inform the public of and invite feedback on the emerging preferred route corridor that has been identified and is being considered. The public consultation will take place in Jackson's Hotel Ballybofey on Monday 20th of November and in the Abbey Hotel Donegal Town on Tuesday the 21st of November between 12 midday and 8 p.m. each day. Donegal County Council staff and their design consultants will be present on both days to listen to and to register your views. For additional project information, please visit the dedicated project website at barnesmoregapgreenway.ie or contact the Donegal National Roads Office on 074 972450 or by email at design@dnrdo.ie.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Clark with the news at 10 o'clock. A man suspected of killing Private Sean Rooney has been released on bail. The man was handed over to authorities by Hezbollah in December last year. A military official says he has been released on bail pending a trial. 23-year-old Private Rooney, who had been living in Donegal, was killed on December the 14th, 2022, after a convoy he was travelling in came under fire in South Lebanon. RTE News reports that a military official says the accused may have opened fire on the UN patrol, but there was no conclusive evidence proving he was the one who injured the peacekeeper, causing his death. Letterkenny University Hospital is seeking a 2-storey modular extension for its emergency department. Councillor Jerry McMonigal confirmed the plans at this week's meeting of the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District. It will provide alternative access for children and people with mental health issues attending the ED. This has been welcomed by the Cathaoirleach of the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District, who's called for a private waiting room at the hospital's emergency department to be established for people seeking emergency medical attention for mental health issues. Councillor Kevin Bradley says it's vital a separate area is provided at the hospital for those patients.
I've been chatting to residents, people who lost loved ones in recent weeks, take their loved ones in. It's an epidemic at the minute, this whole thing. It's not just in Donegal, it's all over Ireland. Every one of us knows somebody who this happened to. It's not good enough what's happening. Calling the HSE to engage with them and put them into a separate waiting room.
A man has been arrested today in connection with the attempted murder of 2 police officers in Strabane in November of last year. The officers were on patrol in the Mount Carmel Heights area of the town when a bomb detonated at the side of their vehicle. The 59-year-old was arrested in Strabane under the Terrorism Act and taken to Musgrave Serious Crime Suite for questioning. Police say investigations into the attack on the police officers is continuing. They're appealing to anyone with information to contact them on 101. A number of Irish citizens are expected to be named on a list of people permitted to leave Gaza today. 23 people crossed the Rafah Gate into Egypt yesterday, but there is no definite number for how many will be evacuated today. Ibrahim Al-Agha is an Irish citizen who crossed with his family last night. He says he was forced to leave a lot of his loved ones behind.
I honestly, once the bus left Gaza and just went through the Egyptian gate, I was crying. Honestly, I was crying, remembering all the people that I just left behind me and how their lives are still in danger, and thousands of people could not make it next week. I mean, a lot of mixed feelings really on that moment.
Sinn Féin's finance spokesperson says local business leaders have a key role to play in bringing the North West City region to its full potential, but it cannot be done without targeted government support. Donegal Deputy Pearse Doherty was speaking ahead of a business breakfast being hosted by himself and MLA Conor Murphy, a former finance minister at Stormont, tomorrow morning at the Ingreenan Hotel in Burt. Deputy Doherty says the cross-border gathering will give them a chance to outline Sinn Féin's policies and hopes for the region, but more importantly, it will allow business leaders from Donegal and Derry outline their perspectives.
It's an opportunity for us to have a chat with business leaders, but also for business leaders to make their views heard in relation to how do we unlock the potential of the Northwest. The problems are there for everybody to see in terms of infrastructure, in terms of productivity, depopulation and low incomes, low wages and high levels of deprivation in the Northwest region. You have to take your lead in a lot of these from businesses. They're the people who are at the cutting edge. They're the people who are able to identify what the new technologies are, where the new opportunities are.
By Donegal returns for a fourth year next week, following on from what Donegal County Council is describing as a series of phenomenally successful campaigns. Businesses from all sectors are being urged to use the opportunity to highlight the products and services they offer to a local and global audience, while people in the area are being urged to buy local. Weather now turning cloudy with outbreaks of rain developing this morning and into the afternoon. Highest temperatures of 6 to 8 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. Until then, you can keep up to date with the latest local news on our website highlandradio.com. Good morning. The obituary notices for this Thursday morning, November the 16th. The death has occurred of John McCluskey, Grange, Inch Island and formerly Ross Downey Park, Derry, reposing at his home this evening from 5 o'clock. Removal from there on Saturday afternoon at 1:15 to Our Lady of Lourdes Church, Inch Island for Requiem Mass at 2 o'clock, followed by interment in the adjoining graveyard. Requiem Mass can be viewed on the Parish of Fawn YouTube channel. Family time please from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. The death has occurred of Robert Hegarty, Baylet, Inch Island. His remains will be reposing at his home this afternoon from 2 o'clock. Removal from there on Saturday morning at 10:15, going to Our Lady of Lourdes Church, Inch Island for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in the adjoining graveyard. Requiem Mass can be viewed on the Parish of Fawn YouTube channel. Family time please from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. and on the morning of the funeral. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Irish Heart Foundation, care of any family member or Murphy Funeral Directors. The death has occurred of Sadie Russell, Navik Suvney, 8 Ballyduff Park, Lifford, formerly of Gweedore. Sadie will repose at her late residence today and tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Funeral from her late residence on Saturday morning at 10:20, going to St Patrick's Church, Murlock for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family time please on the morning of the funeral. Funeral Mass can be viewed on clonleyparish.com. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to Cancer Care West, Donegal Cancer Support Centre, care of any family member or Kelly's Funeral Directors. The death has taken place of James Jim Doherty, Cullacrick, Annagry, originally of Glasgow. His remains will repose at Rorty's Funeral Home, Derrybeg, this afternoon from 2 o'clock until rosary time at 8 o'clock. Removal afterwards to the family home in Cullacrick, house private to family, neighbours and friends only. Funeral Mass in St Mary's Star of the Sea Church, Annagry on Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the new graveyard. The Funeral Mass can be viewed live on the parish webcam and on Kieran Rorty Funeral Director's Facebook page. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Kieran Rorty Funeral Director. And the death has taken place of Josephine Coyle, née Moore, 33 Station Road, Ballymagorry, and formerly of Newton Stewart, reposing at her home. Fiona leaving her home tomorrow morning at 9:20 for Requiem Mass in the Sacred Heart Church, Derry Road at 10 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Donations in lieu of flowers, please, to Mary Curie, care of Quigley Funeral Directors. The house is private to family and friends only. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
This Christmas at Super Value, we have great offers to help you share the magic, like Cadbury Milk Tray 360 gram, now half price. Selected Cadbury, Nestle and Mars selection boxes, any 3 for €6. Selected Pepsi, Club and 7-Up 12-pack cans, $7.50 each. Plus, get money off vouchers every week on the Real Rewards app too. Share the magic this Christmas with Super Value.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Okie doke, very welcome back to the programme, and thanks so much for all of your calls and comments today. As it relates to that junction in Kilmacrennan, a listener says, it's an absolute tragedy waiting to happen. As a parent of a child at the local school, I dread that junction. When the sun is low in the sky at this time of year, there's very little vision as you drive up the hill at the junction towards the Letterkenny direction. Morning rush hour traffic, lorries coming out that side road of the junction constantly from the Churchill Milford direction. Children and parents walking, trying to cross the road, waiting as cars dare not stop, and if they do, there's a free-for-all. The local breakfast club, children walking to school. The pub on the corner of that junction that houses a lot of people and has added extra floors of housing as an extension with more in the near future. Their front door is directly on that corner. Children walking to school cross the road as there's no footpath on that side, so they dart in front of the cars turning in from the main road. Then add morning service at the chapel at the same time. Coming into the village has traffic calming on one side of the village but not on the other. So the cars coming from Letterkenny on the good road downhill at speed, and then that is the side of the village with no traffic calming. How many eyes in your head do you need? Talk about a hazard. And they say there is a lot of people, a lot of children living in the area who access out of one particular door. Last year, a car crashed at that junction and into the front door. No safe footpath at that junction, car parked on that dangerous corner. So that's a detailed review from one listener there. There's a few different issues running at the moment. We have the issue in Kilmacrennan, bus escorts and also access to healthcare. My son also goes on the bus with Keith and Eileen. I'm very shocked that they don't get paid for the days off. Is anything going to come of this? Will there be strikes? I would support them all the way. They are so good to my boy. My son knows them better than his SNA. I know them better than the SNA, and they know him better than the SNA. They're like a friend, which is kind of a message we've had from a number of parents. They say they don't want to strike. Striking is not on the table. That's not what they want to do. They're not critical of the schools. And they certainly don't want to leave parents or their children in the lurch, that their issue is with the Department of Education. Hi, I'm a bus driver for special needs children. We don't get either. So that would be paid holidays and what have you. Waiting in the hospital, this country is a joke. Bringing people in from other countries to get operations, guaranteed there'll be more people now too. They need to sort their own people first. No problem helping others, but there are people here waiting and suffering for years. We can't even look after our own. They're not taking into account that there are nearly 10,000 extra people in this country and no extra resources. Well, there's 7,000 extra, nearly 10,000 extra in this county. Maybe that's what you meant. Okay. Telling people to go private just reinforces the inequality in our health service. Yes, people are desperate, but the HSE managers must be made accountable for the problems in hospital management. And I get what you're saying, but people, like, say, for instance, the caller that went private, it cost over €2,000. They didn't want to do that, but they had no choice. They managed to get the money together and it changed their life. So I understand why they texted in. Please, can you read out again the danger of Black Mountain Mallinhead Road, where the water is flooding down the road? So much traffic driving up the middle of the road. The shucks on both sides haven't been cleaned in years, and now the water is no place but the road to come down. Thanks, it may save a collision. Yeah, indeed, I appreciate that. Maybe there's a local rep that might get on that one as well. Let me see. In response to the junction, no, I read that one, thank you. I'm sure that Stephen Donnelly knows that the noise, what the noise is. Constant noise all the time. People in Omagh town don't notice because of the traffic. I know because the cables were replaced 4 months ago where my parents live in the country. As soon as you leave the house outside the door, you hear the hum from the pylon cables. That's someone who called us in there, and I think implying that the dogs in the street know the situation. Riot, another caller asks, why are greenways located alongside busy roads? People cycling or walking are doing so for health reasons, but currently millions are being spent on a so-called greenway between Castlefin and Lifford, where users will be bombarded by the pollutants and toxic emissions of every car, bus and lorry. There is a disused railway track from Derry to Donegal town and beyond. This is where a greenway should be located. I hope the Barnesmore Greenway is kept away from the N15. Well, I suppose they might say by 2040 there'll be very, very few vehicles on the road emitting toxic materials. Maybe that's what they're looking at to the future. Greg, can you ask why none of our TDs or councillors have made any statements about the killing of children in Gaza? There are motions that were down for debate at Donegal County Council meeting yesterday. I presume councillors had their say on that. I don't know. I wasn't privy to it. Local TDs. Well, there was a vote last night, actually, on expelling the... there was a vote last night on expelling the Israeli diplomat. Is that the right word? I don't know how our local TDs voted, but I can check that out. So, in a way, that is they having their say, isn't it? Not necessarily. That sounded convoluted, but anyway, let that bus driver come on to your show, Greg. Don't think too many on a minimum wage. I know I'll pay my driver well and all his holiday pay. Okay, right. I think I heard a similar noise in Dunlow the past few nights as heard in Omagh. It's called the hum because it's more and more popular now right across the world. Hello, my wife had the same symptoms as Colette's son. After years of steroids, grommets, etc., her facial nerves got affected. Only then she was taken to Beaumont for emergency surgery to remove a large cyst made up of dead skin. This is known as cholesteatoma, and it's very serious as it can move in behind the brain. She has lost the hearing in this ear. I hope this information helps, perhaps. Okay, thank you. A few years ago, there was a similar mysterious sound heard in Limerick. It featured on RTE News. It turned out that a new bridge had some sort of steel supports which were open at the top, and the wind made a humming sound, a bit like panpipes, which was mostly heard at late evening or night when normal city sounds were reduced. And last one for now, before we take a break for the bingo numbers. It is jackpot day, so I'm sure you're very keen to get your books and pens out. I have a son who started school in September. The bus escort doesn't get up and help the children. I ask my son, he says we don't even wear seatbelt. He's got his school bag and lunch bag. They're only young. He can't do it himself. She sits there every morning. She doesn't move. If they're actually doing their job, they should get paid more, but she doesn't help at all. It's health and safety. Those children don't wear seatbelts. Bus inspectors need to step up to the mark. If there was a crash, these children don't have seatbelts on. Now, obviously, there are many people working in this area, and some people are going to have different experiences to other. That is one listener there. This is worth a try for ear problems. It's very easy. Gently pull your earlobe and move your head in a circular motion to help the water drain out. Use gravity. Lie down on your side with the affected ear facing down. Stay in this position for a few minutes to allow the water to drain out. That probably is good for certain conditions. I'm not sure it might help Colette's son, but it's read out there, and if it does, it does. Right. Back shortly.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Thursday, the 16th of November, Jackpot Day. You're playing for the jackpot prize of €5,800 on the pink sheet. The reference number is S9. It's game number 46. The jackpot number is 7. This number can come out in any position from the next 10 numbers drawn. And now, here are your daily numbers. 82, 37, 19, 53, 85, 78, 42, 32, 17, and finally 39. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Uno, dos, tres. A hain, a do, a tree. 1, 2, 3. The Arona, the Ateca and the Tarraco. 3 great SUVs from Seat. And when you order now, you can enjoy 3 years free tyre insurance and 3 years roadside assistance, plus 3 flexible payment options to purchase your new Seat. Visit seat.ie to discover even more of our fantastic offers. Great things come in threes at DMG Motors, Donegal Town. And while I have 3 seconds, allow me to say that yes, terms and conditions apply.
Spoil someone with a beautiful fragrance this Christmas from McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. Choose by designer, budget or celebrity. Top names like Chanel, Lancôme, Christian Dior and Jimmy Choo. Also great prices on Yves Saint Laurent, Prada and so many more. The best fragrant gift sets available this year can also be found in McGee's Chemist Main Street Letterkenny and online at mcgees.ie. McGee's, where the best costs less.
Are you ready for Deal Day November? Irwin Expert Electrical are bringing you mega savings this November on your favourite brands like LG, Samsung, Dyson and Fitbit. Shop smart, save big and stay tuned to Irwin Expert Electrical on social media for the exciting daily deals, all eligible for the Christmas layaway service.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Seasonal loans now available for Christmas. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Now, we're told that Taoiseach Leo Varadkar will gather with his ministers, parliamentary party councillors and Fine Gael members to discuss a range of issues, including how delivery for rural Ireland is one of the party's top priorities. Deputy Peter Burke of Fine Gael is the Minister of State for European Affairs, and he joins us on the programme now. Good morning to you. Thanks very much for your time today. We do appreciate it.
Good morning, Greg. Good morning to your listeners.
Right, OK, so talk to us about this conference.
Yes, so the party is having its special conference to discuss many issues that are very pertinent to rural Ireland. We're having a look at our broadband plan and measuring the rollout of it, which is very important for citizens right across the country. We're also having a look at a whole range of areas under our farming and agri sector, from succession planning to food security and to investment in rural Ireland. So we're really trying to work and ensure that the huge capital investment that's in our capital programme is being delivered right down to communities in rural Ireland. And we can see the evidence in our communities from the huge work Minister Heather Humphreys is doing, from the major programmes through Clore, Outdoor Recreational, Town and Village, Rural Regeneration, Leader, all those key programmes to deliver funding locally, and we really want to see that continue into the future.
Well, the delivery of, roads infrastructure, rail infrastructure, health infrastructure, third level education infrastructure in the regions, not least the Northwest, do you think that will feature as part of the conversation?
Absolutely. It's very important that we do see that development continue at pace. So we've about €165 billion over the next decade to build new hospitals, to ensure we have more schools for many children. Our growing population has increased significantly over the last census. So we need to keep investing in rural Ireland in that infrastructure, because that's one of the ways we really pay a dividend to our citizens into the future, because the income streams that come out of capital investment are quite significant. And it's one of the mistakes that was made back a decade ago when the recession hit this country. Really, capital expenditure tapered off because it was the easiest one to cut, but we never want to do that again, and that's why our capital plan needs to be maintained. And this conference will be looking at rural Ireland and right across the regions to have balanced regional development and to ensure that we are putting significant capital funding behind so many projects.
Is this going to lay the groundwork for plans? In other words, maybe you could call it levelling up, if we could borrow that phrase. Is this really just a back-patting exercise from Fine Gael, where, you list off figures like 165 billion or million or whatever it might be and so on and so forth? Or are you actually going to, from this, have plans to level up areas like the Northwest? You'd be familiar, maybe, I hope you would be, with the challenges in accessing hospital care, access to the region, the lack of a rail network, matters like that there. Will we see new plans, new information coming from a conference like this?
Well, we have plans to do just that. So we already have our rural regeneration plan, which essentially is backed up through our rural future, which has €1 billion funding. That's very significant for rural areas. The capital plan essentially looks after our schools, our hospitals, And that's very significant, what we have to deliver. So what we're doing now is discussing any pinch points and the major issues that are facing rural Ireland. Like we have, as you will know, and your listeners, we have a shortage of young farmers getting interested in agriculture. How do we devise policies to incentivise it? How do we ensure that we have more connected hubs in rural areas that give people an alternative than travelling over to cities that they can work at home or work in a connected hub if they have meetings or that they have to do during the week? All those investments for rural Ireland we will be discussing and trying to ensure that all this money is penetrating down to the regions. And we know that investment is happening, because wherever you stand in rural Ireland, you're not too far away from a town or a village that has got a significant enhancement programme, roads that have gone through the LAS scheme in rural areas. We can see through our outdoor recreational scheme post-COVID, when we really learned about a new way of living, getting more time at home, that we've so many infrastructural recreational projects in our locality. All that has helped us into the future.
All right, and presumably Fine Gael members from right across the country will be in Kildare for this event on Saturday.
Absolutely, and we're looking also at trying to give the membership more powers. We think that's very important in terms of having a greater say in policy that the party is devising, and also in terms of decisions that the party takes at a national level. We're having a look at the role of the member as well as part of the conference, and that's important that our membership really is empowered, that they have the power to make key decisions for the party as well.
Yeah, because there is a sense that, and you would see in Derry as well, where decisions when there is an actual parliament take place in Belfast, and in our case here in the Republic, when decisions are taken in Dublin, there is a sense of a lack of understanding or connection with rural Ireland. And, we've seen it with the provision of healthcare and road infrastructure, and now with RTE plans to move out of Dublin, that very little seems to happen north of that Dublin-Galway line. Do you recognise that that's an issue, and do you think your party can do something about that?
Well, I think it's a huge challenge, and we are doing something about it, because alone the Shared Island Initiative is looking at so many projects and delivering projects. I was over in Carlingford along the border as well, delivering with Irish Water major infrastructural wastewater treatment plans to allow towns and villages on the border to grow. And we also have major arteries and road projects through the Shared Island Initiative that it is working on. So I think that's a very significant fund to really help border counties and help the Northwest as well, which is very important. But our capital plan will also do that. That will be is backed up by not only money, but we have a planning policy in the National Planning Framework that will be the guideways to ensure that regions benefit for that. And like me in Longford Westmeath, I'm working so hard to ensure that the M4, the extension of the M4 right into the northwest, is the really large major artery that has to be finished, and we're working hard to ensure that project progresses with Minister Ryan. Those are important projects for the region that we really have to continue at pace and support.
Thank you very much for your time. That's Deputy Peter Burke, the Minister of State for European Affairs. That event taking place in It's taking place in Kildare on Saturday. Back to some of your comments. It seems the problem of humming in Omagh has been resolved, because another listener says, Greg, the humming noise in Omagh is due to cables. They've all been replaced on electricity pylons. I know this as parents live beside them. That's another caller with the same comment there. Hi, Greg. Sending you this text for the 5 years now. The crossroads beside Manor Motors is the junction to crossing. Not one light there for the children crossing either. Getting off the school bus, maybe Paul Cannon could come on and tell us what he thinks should be done. Thanks. Please mention, Greg, I was coming out at a road in Dunfanaghy. A bus must have left children off. They were walking. It was 2 minutes to 5. It was getting dark. They had dark uniforms on. School bags was what I could see. There were definitely 2 girls, possibly 2 boys. I couldn't see them. I swerved. The van behind me swerved. He thought he'd hit me. If there was a car coming the other way, I would have gone into them. If they would even have the torches on their phones just so I could see them, it's a safety issue. And we do have to be really careful now, because it is getting dark really early now, and we have to be seen. Anyone noticed Fine Gael's new tactic, interacting with the main opposition party in Dáil on the radio? Don't sue me. Do they realise what happens if one breaks the law, no matter who you are? What other real options are there to counteract media bias and protect one's good name? I don't know. I have mixed views on that, to be honest with you. But if someone is is wronged, well, of course, then there are recourses. They should be able to challenge that. It's how it looks to perception too sometimes. Right. Just in relation to the records being stored at St. Connell's Hospital, we have an email in from a listener. And just to recap, by the way, there's nothing more I can pursue in that story, in that the HSE says they won't ask a series of questions I had about the records, how long they've been there, what's going to happen to them now, and so on and so forth, because the matter has been referred to An Garda Síochána. So, in other words, it is off the... it's off the... We can't talk about it because there's no questions can be answered. It's off the agenda, so to speak. A caller says a helpline should be set up immediately for individuals to be able to determine if their record has been affected, as there'll be some very upset individuals worrying about loved ones' records on their own. From my perspective, from my parents who would have engaged with Letterkenny University Hospital, it would sadden me, and this is no criticism of staff. The staff have they have no role in this whatsoever. But if my mum's medical records are lying there in a pile, you know, her x-rays, her notes, stuff that really perhaps was recorded towards the end of her life, I don't know why, but it kind of would bother me if they're just lying there in a damp box in that place for someone to go in and root through. It feels personal to me. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying there, or if that's how you feel. It just feels disrespectful to a part of her, if that makes sense. That hasn't motivated me in any way. I just covered the story as I would cover any story, but that honestly is how I feel. It just doesn't feel right. It feels to me like there's a connection there, and it feels disrespectful. But as I say, that's only how I feel, and I'm not saying that that's how other feels. And I, as I say, just to reiterate, this is nothing to do with the staff in the general hospital there whatsoever. This is a separate issue, but there are loads of questions like what's going to happen now, what rules were broken, if any, what will be passed on to the public. I can't ask those questions anymore because I've been told that no more comment because the guards are involved. But anyway, I'll read on from this emailer. The building has inadequate signage to show they are protected documents within. In my opinion, Jamie should be protected under the whistleblower legislation. We need to stop turning to the HSE for answers. A full independent inquiry is needed here with repercussions for all staff and management who, with knowledge of this neglect, this negligent storage of files. Why did they not contact a higher authority? Staff are constantly completing training on HSE land and record keeping, protected disclosures and personal information, etc. are so clearly aware of the severity of this situation. Anyone involved in the negligent storage of documents or disposal with knowledge of the deterioration of the site environment should be investigated. If this happened in a private company, people would be sacked and government organisations would intervene immediately. I believe Jamie's been visited by the authorities in the north, I was told, but we'll try and get to the bottom of that. There was another case in Britain, by the way. It was a pharmacy group, and it kind of feels similar to this. So I'll read some of this article for you, if that's okay. A pharmacy fined for its careless handling of sensitive personal data has had the level of its penalty reduced on appeal after a tribunal accepted its claims that the scale of its breach of data protection laws was smaller than a UK regulator had determined. Doorstep Dispensary was fined £270,000 and ordered to improve its data protection practices by the UK Information Commissioner's Office in 2019. The ICO took action after determining that Doorstep Dispensary had stored approximately 500,000 documents in unlocked containers at the back of premises in Edgware in London. Now, there is a claim that the door to St. Connell's was unlocked. That's probably going to be disputed. But the documents contained a range of personal data, including NHS numbers, medical information and details of prescriptions, as well as people's names and addresses, and some of them were water damaged. However, the company raised an appeal and on it goes. So they got the money, the fine reduced from 250,000 down to 92,000. But it was the subject of a full tribunal. And as I say, there does seem to be similarities in the story. Water damaged files, the type of information that's available. Was there proper security? What security was there? Again, I apologise, I can't get any answers to those questions for you anymore because the HSE says the matter is now with An Garda Síochána.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
MGC Derma will showcase at Tierney's Healthwise Buncrana this Friday 17th of November from 12 to 3 p.m. MGC are a specialist skincare brand suitable for all skin types, using advanced science and nature to heal and nourish even highly sensitive and troublesome skin.
New TB rules would curtail the cattle trade. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, find out what new rules the department is proposing to stem the spread of TB. Reweighting makes it back into EU nature restoration law. British blue tongue case sparks import ban. Straw imports surge to counter Irish shortage. County councils told to ramp up farm inspections. Everything retiring farmers need to know about the Fair Deal scheme, plus your comprehensive guide to next week's Dairy Day. All inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal, on sale now.
Why wait until Black Friday? At Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring, we're offering our Black Friday deals right now. Get up to 70% off all tiles, all wood flooring and all bathware. Everything's reduced and everything's in stock. The 70% off Black Friday sale at Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring. Stores nationwide. Sale now on.
Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure, supporting you with the right footwear. Suffering from joint pain, shin splints or foot injuries? We can help you with our range of footwear and experience. We select the best options from all the major brands: Brooks, Asics, New Balance, Hoka and On Footwear. Step into our safe size experience. We will update your gait analysis, measure your feet and recommend what will support your body and joints. Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure, Main Street, Letterkenny. Christmas Club now open.
At Hickey Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers, they compare quotes from all the leading insurers, so you get a great price. Home, motor and van, farm, holiday home, travel and liability insurance, they quote them all. So if the worst happens, you're covered. For a competitive insurance quote today, call Hickey Clark and Langan on 9126688 or pop into their office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
In the next 15 seconds, you're going to find out where is the best place in the Northwest to buy a bed or mattress. It's Restex Beds and Furniture, Mountain Top, Letterkenny, where comfort meets style.
Hi, Tommy Bow here. Get in store to check out my new 15 Kings clothing collection, available in premium gents outfitters nationwide and at 15kings.com.
Now, a majority of TDs have rejected a Social Democrats' motion seeking the expulsion of the Israeli ambassador, with 85 TDs backing the government. 55 voting against. The Social Democrats' motion demanded that the diplomatic credentials of Israel's ambassador to Ireland, Dana Ehrlich, be revoked. Amongst those who, I presume, Deputy Marion Harkin, I could describe it as voting with the government. You are amongst those, aren't you, on this issue?
Well, in practical terms, no, because I was paired with Minister Norma Foley, who's at a meeting in Europe at the moment. So in actual terms, I voted against the government. And what I said was that I agreed with everything in the motion. They have a lot of asks. That's just one of many asks. They ask, for example, that the EU Israeli trade agreement, that would be suspended. The Horizon Europe funding to Israel would be suspended, that Israel should be referred to the International Criminal Court, that what we call the Occupied Territories Bill would be passed, which of course the Full Dáil supported many months ago. Okay. I support all of those asks and in fact have actively done something about them, which I'll come back to later. But the one thing that I felt was not the right or the best course of action was to also expel the Israeli ambassador, because what I said is that we need to keep all channels of communication open. We need to keep dialogue on the table, and especially with those people that we fundamentally disagree with. And that's just my perspective on this, because
but let's just say, right, that we aren't able to influence the Israeli ambassador, or we aren't able to influence her country. Is it not sending a message to say that what's happening to, or what has happened to the 4,000 children, the 3,000 women on the grounds of Gaza's biggest hospital, that we are saying to register our upset at what's happening, that we are going to expel? In other words, she can come back in a year or 2 years or what have you. But in now, it's the clearest way we have within our power to send a message to say there needs to be a ceasefire now. Those 4,000 babies and children are incredibly important. And this is what we have within our gift to get that message to the Israelis.
There are a number of things we can do, Greg, and I've listed them. And I've already written to the European Commissioner Dombrovskis and to von der Leyen, asking them to start the process of suspending the trade agreement between Israel and the EU, because there is a clause in that trade agreement which says Israel must adhere to human rights and democratic principles. And I think that's what we did with Russia. We put in sanctions. We tried to show them in other ways that we fundamentally disagree with what they're doing.
But in Russia, you could argue that in Russia, it's a fair fight in inverted commas, and I'm sure others could contradict me. What we are seeing here, though, is the awful terrible events of October 7th, in which, very sadly, 1,400 people were killed on Israeli soil. What we're seeing from that is, after years of corralling these people in this open prison, indiscriminate bombing, which has cost the lives of at least 4,000 children, 3,000 women, and the cutting off of fuel from hospitals, babies dying in incubators, mass graves at hospitals. Is it a fair comparison between Russia and Israel here? As again, I'll put it to you: if we are truly horrified
I think, if you talk to the people in Bucha and many of the other towns in Ukraine,
yes,
they would say that their horror was as great. But I don't think comparing one horror with another.
No, but you compared one diplomat. In fairness to you, Marion, you compared one diplomat to another. So I had no choice.
Well, the point I'm making there is that the opposition called for the expulsion of both of them, and I disagreed with both of them on the same principle. And the principle is that we have to keep channels of communication open, keep talking to people we disagree with. And I did quote the likes of John Hume, at the worst of times, when he was vilified. John kept those communications open. He found a way of talking, of listening, of engaging. And it's that diplomacy channel that I just don't want to cut it off. All of the other stuff, the trade agreements, the International Criminal Court, those are real solid actions we can take. And as I said, I as an individual, as a former member of the European Parliament, have already taken the first step there. I have spoken many times about the Occupied Territories Bill. And as I said, the Dáil agreed on it. It's now up to the government to move. So there are many actions you can take. And I just feel that the one we shouldn't take is to just close down those channels, because diplomacy at the end of the day is the only way we'll find a solution. And that doesn't minimise in any way the horror that is happening in Gaza, that I and others have spoken many times about. I'm not minimising that in any way. The question is, what actions can you take that are likely to have better outcomes?
But what actions are you to take that are likely to send a strong message that would reverberate? Do you know what I mean? To say, because you say we don't talk. We don't want to stop speaking to people just because we disagree with them. And I understand we have to choose words to describe the situation, but does this not what we are witnessing, what's happening to these people? Does it not go beyond disagreement? It goes to condemnation. It goes to...
but we're doing that, Greg. I mean, our own Taoiseach has spoken about revenge. Our Taoiseach, who's in the Middle East at the moment, has spoken about... disproportionate reaction. While that word disproportionate might sound, a bit weak, if you look at international law, that is the word that is used to describe disproportionate. Says that it prohibits attacks against military objectives. That would be the likes of Al-Shifa Hospital, which are expected to cause incidental loss of civilian life. That is That's international law. That is very clear, and that's the language we are using. And I think we are very strong on that. Very few other countries are using that language. I do think within the EU we were able to bring a group together, be part of a group that moderated the response. If we get rid of the ambassador, if we cut off ties, I think we push ourselves outside an area of influence, and I don't want us to do that. I want us to be as strong and to take the actions that I've spoken of, the International Criminal Court.
I get you. You've mentioned that a couple of times now. Okay, I understand. I want to bring Iad Marshall, who's co-chair of the Irish-Palestinian Solidarity Campaign in Donegal. You had an opportunity to listen to Deputy Marion Harkin. Iad, what say you?
Well, first of all, Greg, thank you for having me on today. And I would like also from your program to thank all the Irish people who took to the streets with us in solidarity with the Palestinian people. Greg, what's going on today far exceeds the disagreement, just like you said. So diplomatic representation is a failure at this point. And what's the point of having international laws if the Israelis keep breaking them, and you know, now we're just standing here saying expelling the ambassador, whether we should do it or not. That ambassador should have been expelled when she criticized the president of Ireland. You know, she's breaking diplomatic protocols, and the country she represents is currently involved in a genocide. But the amazing thing here, we know Palestine is occupied. Everybody knows that. The question is, who isn't occupied today? If the politicians are not listening to the people, there's a divide in Irish politics at the minute. This is becoming very apparent. The people, everybody is saying that what's going on is wrong. The politicians are not reflecting that from their position as representatives of the people. That's my point here. Also, you know, you mentioned Russia. Listen, there is no hierarchy in struggle. Every person, every innocent person that got hurt during any of these horrible actions, military actions against civilians, we're all equal, whether it's Gaza or Ukraine or anywhere in the world. But it was amazing how fast everybody moved for Ukraine. There was in the first week there was 60 sanctions. And Micheál Martin was one of the biggest scholars on enforcing sanctions on Russia. And Russia is a big country with a massive history. They actually defeated the Second World War, if the people don't know that. And they have massive history. And all of a sudden, all the countries in the world decided that, you know, we have to sanction them, we have to punish them for what they're doing. Sanction, UN meetings, general meetings, emergency meetings. Israel has been doing this for 75 years. 75 years. And now we're talking about expelling the ambassador. I mean, that's not even enough.
What about the argument, Iad, that what would it achieve in that, yes, it would send a message, but it means that we can still, whilst she's in situ, make very clear our calls for a ceasefire, for a resolution to this that will not cost any more innocent lives. Is it not better to be able to have that conversation through official channels than to, just disregard it altogether?
Well, look, it's simple. They're not listening. You can try and speak to them and have negotiations. We had negotiations as Palestinian people for 20 years with the Israelis, peace negotiations. We gave them everything they wanted, and they kept changing. We have rights in resolutions, in UN resolutions. 194 is a resolution where we are to have a state. All of that, illegal settlements are being built. Since we had the peace with them, they've been building illegal settlements, and they've been taking land and killing people. This is not about Gaza only. You want to see what's going on in the West Bank. I actually blame the media for not showing what's going on, really. Even Al Jazeera, everyone's saying, oh, CNN and RT and BBC are evil. Al Jazeera is evil too. They're not showing you everything you need to see. There is a lot more than what you think is happening.
Well, in fairness, particularly to the likes of Al Jazeera, I mean, they are in the ground in Gaza, and many of their journalists who are Gazans have lost their own lives or their families' lives to try and expose what's happening. Do you think that's a fair criticism of Al Jazeera? I mean, you don't want to sort of presumably alienate everyone by being critical of absolutely everybody, do you?
Well, to be honest with you, yes, I can be critical of everyone, because what I'm trying to say here is that I'm not obviously, look, the people on the ground, they are in the ground. They are witnessing everything that is happening, and they're doing an amazing job. I'm not criticizing the people themselves. I'm criticizing the media in general, as organizations and companies and headquarters and all of that. Look, the truth of the matter is that the killing of civilians and innocent people and children in Palestine has to stop. And not only it has to stop, people who are quiet when this is happening have to be held accountable for their silence.
Mm-hmm.
You remember, listen, yourself on your radio, I learned something amazing, by the way, on your show, that the Native Americans sent $100 to the Irish people during famine, right? That means a lot to the Irish people today. There's a tribe, a Native American tribe. I learned this on Highland Radio one day. Mm-hmm. Look, solidarity makes a difference. Ireland has suffered from colonialist settlement oppression for hundreds of years. Ireland has to, as politicians and a government, they have to put pressure on Israel today.
But what about the measures? What about measures? Marion Harkins mentioned, and I'll bring her back in a moment, has mentioned the measures that have been taken. She supports all of them in terms of our trade agreements and what have you. But Ms. Harkin is of the view that it's far better off to retain the diplomats so that there is a direct line. So in other words, if another thing is completely horrific, that we can relate it to her, and she's obliged then to take that back to her government, I presume. Is there not some value in that statement that at least then are discussed, if it's applicable, is registered then directly with the Israelis, and if we cut that line of communication or those lines of influences, then we're making a mistake?
Look, as I said, there has been diplomatic representation between Ireland and Israel for a very long time. And this is not the first time Israel is breaking international law. What's the point of having any conversation or any channels of communication with them if they're not going to listen to you in the first place?
Okay, let me put that directly to Deputy Harkin. I mean, is Iyad Mashal changing your view at all, Deputy Harkin, or are you resolute in your view that we need to retain these lines of dialogue?
Well, first of all, I just want to say that I can't say I fully understand where that is coming from, but I have followed this for many years, especially when I was in the European Parliament. I know what Israel has done with UN resolutions flouting. I know what's happening. So the heartbreak for people in Gaza, and he's quite right, in the West Bank, it's unbearable to watch. So I understand all of that. The only question is, where can we go from here now? This awful situation.
Well, maybe we can ensure, Deputy, that we are on the right side of history. I mean, we really probably don't know the full extent of what's going on here, or the true motivation and the end game. Maybe we want to make sure that we are on the right side of history when our children and grandchildren are looking at what Ireland did or didn't do. Whilst, as I say, and I'm not trying to be emotive here, but I don't want them to be forgotten, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 babies, kids, children, my children's age, wiped from the face of this earth. You know, do we not need to make sure we are standing on the right side of history in years to come?
Well, I suppose you ask what actions can we take. Our votes in the UN show we're on the right side of history. Our Taoiseach talking about Israel as committing an act of revenge is on the right side of history. Our call by many people in the Dáil for the Occupied Territories Bill, the enactment, is on the right side of history. And at the end of the day, diplomacy cannot be a failure, because if diplomacy is a failure, I mean, where do we go? And international law, of course, it doesn't work a lot of the time, but it's the only thing we have. It's the only thing we can hold on to and push for. And as I said, it's people like John Hume and others, the people who never gave up, who never stopped talking, never stopped listening, never stopped engaging. It's that.
But does there not come a point? Does there not come a point where you say that these acts are so abhorrent that for the time being we're actually going to suspend engaging with you? That's how bad we think about this situation. That doesn't mean to say that we won't come around the table with you again. But at this point, with what you're doing and disregarding pretty much every country's view on this situation, that for now we have to take a stand and say we'll speak to you again, but we're so opposed to what you're doing now, we're actually going to have to suspend those diplomatic relations.
You can say that, but I still believe that talking is more important than turning your back. I always believe that. Whatever the situation is, however awful, difficult, intractable, and this is an intractable situation, I still believe that communication, it's the only way we humans have of connecting with one another.
Okay.
And we all remember the history. We remember how close we came to it in Camp David, and yet it didn't happen. And when that chance went, a lot of people felt that this is on a wrong path, and that we are where we are now. Mm-hmm. But this is my personal view, that talking is better than turning your back.
And the reason why we want to speak to you is because whilst it might be your personal view, you know, many thousands of people elected you to represent them. And that includes Sligo, Leitrim, of course, much of South Donegal. They did represent you to represent them as well. So I do understand it is your personal view, but the way democracy works is that you were elected to represent your people as well.
Absolutely, and there are different viewpoints out there. People want to see, what do people want? They want to see an end to the war. Okay. That's what people want to see. Mm-hmm. And the way we can do that, or not we can't do it, okay, but the way we can try to influence is through diplomacy, and I think getting some of our citizens out at the moment is part of that. Mm-hmm. But through diplomacy and through actions at EU level, trade agreements, I've listed them all, that those are ways that we can work.
Okay, Deputy Harkin, I do have to move forward. I appreciate all of your time today. I'm sure you're incredibly busy. I will come back for a final word, Iad, with you, if that's okay. But Stuart, I'm sorry to hold you. Just a quick comment from you, if that's okay.
Well, Mairead, as far as I'm concerned, that woman is representing part of Donegal, and she's representing this part of Ireland. And we want Israel booted out of Ireland. Everybody that belongs to that embassy needs to go now. They're not going to listen to one word that's been said. That man is a dictator. He's even worse than a dictator. What he is, I can't even mention online what he is, Netanyahu. That man is the most evil human being on this planet at this time. And he has to be sent a clear message that the Irish people are totally against what's going on. People don't realise, unless you're on the ground in Gaza, what's going on. Even soldiers, Israeli soldiers, are coming back at night, and they don't want to ever go back to work again because they don't want to be killing children. They're murdering children indiscriminately. We need them booted out immediately because that woman is not listening to one word. All she's doing is gathering information. That's all they do in every country. Try and buy off who they can, get the support for Israel. That's all they want, support for Israel. They don't care about anybody else. That's all they're interested in, Israel.
Right, okay.
Ban them from everything we can. Get them out.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of Marian Harkin, I know you're not referring to her because she pointed out she's supported. She's supported all. Of course, but she supported all the other measures. I get you. Thanks, Stuart. Iad, very finally to you. I mean, you've heard Stuart's view there. You heard Marian. Yeah. We actually have to go now because the news is on the way. But I want to thank you for joining us this morning.
Okay, thank you. There's not much I can say now, is it?
No, well, if you know, yes, if you've 30 seconds, go ahead, Iad. I don't want to cut you off.
Okay,
just to wrap up.
What I would like to say is, people in Donegal, take to the streets, put pressure on your politicians. We're going to have another vote hopefully soon, and we will expel that horrible embassy. We don't need an Israeli flag flying in Ireland while they're killing children in Palestine.
Okay, thanks, Iad. I appreciate your time.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Stay warm for less this autumn with Homeland. 5-pack wood logs, buy 3 for €13. Hardwood log crate for 150 kg, only €329. Nationwide delivery available. Shop in store or online at homeland.ie.
It's flu season, and while anyone can catch the flu, it can cause serious illness in children. The flu virus spreads easily from person to person. That's why children, aged 2 to 12, can now get a free flu vaccine. It's given through a nasal spray and provides safe and effective protection from the flu. So don't delay. Book a free appointment with your GP or pharmacist and protect your family from the flu this winter. Visit hse.ie/flu for more information. From the HSE.
This Christmas at Super Value, we have great offers to help you share the magic. Like Super Value Fresh Irish Strip Loin Steak, save 33%. And Villa Maria Sauvignon Blanc 6-pack case deal, €50. Exclusive to Real Rewards members only. Plus, get money off vouchers every week on the Real Rewards app too. Share the magic this Christmas with Super Value. Enjoy alcohol responsibly. T's and C's apply.
The Department of Social Protection is working to improve disability payments in Ireland. There is currently a consultation on how these payments might work better in the future. We want to hear your views on how the system might be improved. To find out more, please visit gov.ie/disability payments reform. A Government of Ireland initiative brought to you by the Department of Social Protection.
See Derek Ryan live in concert at the Mount Errigal Hotel Letterkenny this Saturday the 18th of November with special guests Louise Morrissey and T.R. Dallas. That's Derek Ryan live in concert at the Mount Errigal Hotel Letterkenny this Saturday the 18th of November. Tickets on sale from hotel reception or at DerekRyanMusic.com.
Wrap up some Donegal love this Christmas with thoughtful, sustainable gifts made by the Donegal designer makers. Join us for our annual Christmas fair in Rathmullen House this Saturday and Sunday from 11 a.m. till 5 p.m. A weekend of festive food, drinks and stress-free gift shopping.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. From condensing oil and HVO biofuel boilers to heat pumps and underfloor heating, you can trust Grant to heat your home. Visit grant.ie.
Turning cloudy with outbreaks of rain developing in the west during the morning or early afternoon. Bright spells and showers will follow as the rain clears eastwards by early evening. Highest temperatures of 6 to 8 degrees in light to moderate west to southwest winds.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
OK, it is 11 o'clock, time for a news update. It's over to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The Justice Minister's expressed her disappointment. The latest search for Tyrone teenager Columba McVeigh has ended without success. Helen McEntee says it has been an extremely challenging case in what was the sixth search at a bog in County Monaghan. The 19-year-old was abducted, murdered and buried by the IRA in 1975. A man suspected of killing Private Sean Rooney has reportedly been released on bail. The man was handed over to authorities by Hezbollah in December last year. A military official says the accused may have opened fire on the UN patrol, but that there was no conclusive evidence proving he was the one who injured the peacekeeper, causing his death. Letterkenny University Hospital is seeking a 2-storey modular extension for its emergency department. Councillor Jerry McMonigal confirmed the plans at this week's meeting of the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District. It will provide alternative access for children and people with mental health issues attending the ED. That's been welcomed by the Cahirlock of the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District, who's called for a private waiting room at the hospital's emergency department to be established for people seeking emergency medical attention for mental health issues. A man has been arrested today in connection with the attempted murder of 2 police officers in Strabane in November of last year. The officers were on patrol in the Mount Carmel Heights area of the town when a bomb detonated at the side of their vehicle. The 59-year-old was arrested in Strabane under the Terrorism Act and taken to Musgrave Serious Crime Suite for questioning. Sinn Féin's finance spokesperson says local business leaders have a key role to play in bringing the North West City region to its full potential, but it cannot be done without targeted government support. Donegal Deputy Pearse Doherty was speaking ahead of a business breakfast being hosted by himself and MLA Conor Murphy, a former finance minister at Stormont, tomorrow morning at the Greenan Hotel in Birch. Donegal returns for a fourth year next week, following on from what Donegal County Council is describing as a series of phenomenally successful campaigns. Businesses from all sectors are being urged to use the opportunity to highlight the products and services they offer to a local and global audience, while people in the area are being urged to buy local. And phone scams are up 20% this year. Gardaí are warning criminals are getting more sophisticated at getting people to click on links and part with their cash. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Michaela, thank you very much indeed. We will be back with more on the 9 till noon show after this break.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at The Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system, and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
At the Central Statistics Office, we're trusted to gather all sorts of information. So, we count lakes, stakes, and haulage intakes. We count wages, ages, and all of life's stages. We count loans, phones, still living at home. We count euros and cents and housing and rents. We count Mars, electric cars, and the price of a jar. Because this data informs important decisions on everything from economic activity to housing policy to what to call a new baby. And we can't do it without you. CSO, count on us. We count on you.
It's our biggest ever Black Friday at Boots, with better than half price deals on electrical beauty brands, from Philips to Oral-B, like the Remington Shine Therapy Straightener was €109.99, now €34.99. Don't miss out. Boots, give joy. Selected stores and boots.ie, subject to availability. Offers end 30th November.
Clonmany Community Centre's annual Christmas Craft Fair is on this Saturday, November 18th, from 12 midday till 4 p.m. As always, there will be Christmas treats and mulled wine, as well as craft demonstrations throughout the day. As an added treat, there will be a huge 25% off in-store only sale in Clonmany Fabrics, home to Ireland's largest selection of craft fabrics during the craft fair. It's sure to be a Christmas fair not to be missed. Ho, ho, ho!
To help with the cost of heating your home during the winter months, the Fuel Allowance Scheme is now available. This allowance is paid at a rate of €33 a week for 28 weeks. To find out more and check your eligibility, visit gov.ie/fuel allowance. The quickest and easiest way to apply is online at mywelfare.ie. One payment per household. A Government of Ireland initiative brought to you by the Department of Social Protection.
Okay, we're going to talk dreams now. Alison Burns, holistic therapist and teacher. Good morning to you, Alison.
Good morning, and thank you for inviting me here.
No, it's lovely to speak. It's an area of fascination, I think. Firstly, do we know why we dream?
We dream for a few different reasons. One is simply processing whatever has been going on during the day. You know, we're so busy doing and thinking about so many times that we park things to be just sorted out, put into different files and that sort of thing in our brains, as it were. So that's one reason we dream. Another reason is sometimes we get premonitions. Sometimes it's useful for us to know in advance what might be happening. So we can, forewarned is forearmed, that kind of thing.
So is it possible that, sorry, you're going to go continue, but I'm fascinated by that last statement. So say, for instance, you know how people trust their gut. So something's happening in their woken life, and other people may not have that sort of gut feeling that they have. But on a subconscious level, maybe their mind is logging things that don't feel right. It could be suspicions about a partner or a decision they have to make. Can that then be teased out through a dream? In other words, should that not be ignored?
Absolutely can be teased out through a dream. And the thing just to be careful of is the dreams aren't literal. Dreams work in symbols and pictures. So if you dream, you said working out or suspecting your partner of something. So if you dream that your partner is misbehaving, it does not mean your partner is misbehaving. You know, you have to get into the different levels of the dream. You know, very occasionally it might, but generally speaking, it doesn't.
Yeah, and the only reason I asked that because it's going to come up in our questions, and I'm inviting listeners to text in their questions. I can't string two words together. I didn't sleep much last night. I was dreaming 08660 25,000. I have this... the dreams are somewhat different, but there's a couple of locations in my dreams. Like I have one particular house that's kind of half finished, and I could draw a map of it right now. I could draw plans. It's so specific, and it's been in my head, this location, for as long as I can remember. And, you know, different scenarios occur there, but it's the consistent is this half-finished house on a site that's close. It's actually the site where my house is now, this half-finished house. And as I say, the dreams can vary, but this location, I might not dream about it for 6 months, Alison, but it will pop back in, and it's all laid out the exact same. What could be going on there? Should I ask, maybe? I don't know.
The first thing is if you have a recurring dream, it's a message that your subconscious is really trying to get through to you. An awful lot of us can just ignore the dreams and carry on as if they weren't there. But if your unconscious mind is saying, no, it's really useful for you to get this information, then it'll come in a recurring dream. So that's the first thing to look at. And the next thing is the unfinished house. You said it's where your house is now, but it was a different unfinished house.
Yeah, exactly. It's a completely different design, and it's built back into a hill. And as I say, it's got a massive front room. It's got a big stone sweeping curved frontage.
That's very interesting because the house can represent you, your whole self, your personality, the whole lot. The fact that it's half finished would indicate that there's something that you really want to finish. Now, it's not a house, but you would look then, you go down into the different levels, and you said two things. One, the big white sweeping drive. So there's a welcome in this. So whatever it is that you're trying to bring into your mind that needs to be worked on or finished or just enjoyed, it's welcoming. It's not a difficulty. It's not some past trauma that you need to sort out. It's a welcoming thing. And the sitting room we associate with ease and with socialization and with families. So it's all that area. So without asking, to interpret a dream properly, we could take a good 20 minutes, half hour.
I get that. Now I understand that.
But on the top level, perhaps you're telling yourself that you need more time to just rest and socialize and, welcome people and that side of life. So I don't know how that sits with you.
Yeah, no,
I can give my interpretations, but they'll sit with you or they're wrong. Do you know what I mean?
No, I get you, and that's but it is just an area that fascinates us. Let's go to a listener's one, if that's okay now. Sure. And I've heard this one a few times. I've been having consistent dreams for the past while of my teeth falling out. I wake up every morning all flustered and checking that they are still intact. Can that mean anything?
Yes, it's a very common dream, believe it or not. It's near. There's two dreams that are right neck and neck for the most common in Ireland so far as I have experienced, and that's one of them, the teeth falling out. And it's teeth. First of all, when you have something in the dream, you say, what does it do? So teeth, they're for survival because we eat with teeth. They're for indicating how we are. Are we smiling? How is our mood, or are we snarling? They can even be a fighting. We can bite if necessary. So they're really, really precious. If you don't have teeth, you've lost an awful lot, So when we're looking at them falling out, there's big insecurity about an area of our life. So we need to know more about the dream. Where was the person when the teeth were falling out? Were they eating? Were they putting on makeup? Were they... and that will give us an indication as to what part of their life needs the healing or the delving into and help on.
Excellent. Right. So if it were socializing, maybe they have difficulty socializing, or it could be about appearance or whatever. Now, I'm not saying that, but yes. that's where the context, that's where the context comes from. Okay, brilliant. Yeah. I keep dreaming that I'm at a funeral, and it's either that of my brother or daughter. I can see all the events of the wake and funeral. Now, thankfully, neither have any illnesses. So why would I be repeatedly having this dream, Alison?
Okay, the first time that somebody dreams about somebody close to them dying, they get terrified and wonder, is it a premonition dream? But if it's a premonition dream, you'll know that you have those type of dreams. You'll understand the difference. They feel different to a sorting out dream, So when we dream that somebody has died, we think of that person And the person is only in the dream to help us to understand ourselves. So we think of 2 or 3 traits of that person. And what is it? Let's say it's their daughter, and their daughter is energetic and studious. Let's just say those things too. Well, then you look at yourself and you say, what part of me am I concerned of? Because there's a fear that this energy or wisdom or studying is dying off, is not getting the attention that it needs. Or if it's it's interesting that it's a male and a female in her life. And sometimes she's worried about her female side, sometimes her male side. So you look at it and, you take the traits of the person and say, am I doing, let's say it's anger. Okay, you associate the person with anger. Am I angry too much? Do I have to look at that? Am I misdirecting my anger? Or do I need to actually acknowledge my anger? So it's always, is it too much or too little? And then you can look at yourself after that.
All right. I've had a dream a few times now about a bull chasing me. And I presume this could be replaced by a dog or whatever else it might be. I try as hard as I can to run away from this bull and to get to safety. I'm breathless, and when I think I'm safe, the bull comes along and crushes me against a fence. I then wake up, and obviously they feel distressed. What could this possibly mean?
Well, the bull is a huge, big, angry animal, and we don't have much defense against a bull. So this is something that's huge in the person's life that they really want to face. They're running away from it, and running away from it doesn't work because they end up crushed. They need to turn around and actually face the difficulty. Now, when we talk about a bull, it's male. So without being able to delve into it with the person, it could be a male in in their life, either present or past. Sometimes we're dreaming about something that's happened way back, and the person mightn't even still be alive, but it's still bothering us. It's still knocking on the door to be resolved. So if I was working with that person, we would delve into more and more and find out exactly what is that bull representing. But it's something that she or he is very frightened of and knows is very real and needs to actually process and heal and work through.
Yeah, and you can get more information about Alison at AlisonByrneHealing.com as well, by the way. I'll remind you that towards the end. It mostly when you engage with someone and you dig through it, and it might not land with the first interpretation that you give, and then you tease the conversation out more with the person. Does it invariably, can you make the connection between a dream and something in their life? Because the mind is so complex, it doesn't always deliver things to us on a plate.
All I can tell you is my experience, and I haven't yet, touch wood, worked with somebody that we couldn't find what was the core issue of the dream. Yeah. A dream might have 2 or 3 different ones, different meanings, but the core one is the important one.
Drowning. A few people talk about dreaming of drowning.
Drowning is a very difficult one. Water in general, you see, when we're talking about dreams, I can say what things mean in general, but it might mean something different to the person. So it's very specific. Yeah. But if we're doing general, water can represent emotions and life, life-giving water, and spirituality. So the person is drowning in them. Now, I can't imagine them drowning in either of the other two, but the emotions could be a difficult one. So again, we'd have to find out, where was the person? Did the water just come like a tsunami? Was it a lake? Was it their bath? To find out what part of their life they feel that they're drowning in the emotions of. The emotions are too much. If you think of water like tears, like it's too much.
Yeah, and I presume too, again, and this is why it's complex, and it is great to get sort of these insights, but we do understand fully that you need to chat. It depends on our interpretation of what drowning means as well. So we're dreaming about drowning. For me, it could be the panic of a lack of air, but for another person, drowning could be the pressure of the water or something. So presumably then it could have a different meaning. So you'd need to find out what drowning in their, the conscious or subconscious actually means to them. Here's another interesting one. I'd love to know why I dream that I can't lock the back door. No matter how hard I try, the back door simply won't lock. And I'm also constantly dreaming that my car has been stolen. I would love to know if there's any meaning to these dreams.
Okay, so this person is having a bit of a hard time, really, because the two things, to feel safe and secure in your house, you want your doors locked, and you need your car. If you can't find your car, you're in trouble. So this person is, the subconscious mind is saying, we really need to look at the basics of life, the survival of life. What are my values? You go right down to the core issues. What are my values? Do they match the people that I'm with most of the time? And if not, why not? And what can I do about it? It's a very urgent dream, in the sense that it's safety. She can't lock the back door. He can't lock the back door. But I'm really sorry that we can't delve into it without more information. I'd have to ask all sorts of things about the time of day, the colours, what they were doing before trying to lock the door, where they had left the car. All those things build into what it is. It's no help to say to somebody, you're worried about something. That's no help at all. We would, in a dream interpretation proper, we would go in and find out what, and then do healing on it.
My mother, very sad to hear this, this listener's mother died 3.5 years ago, and they've got a recurring dream now of the mum dying in the dream, and they're all waiting for her to die, but she's talking to us all in the dream. So that she has sadly passed away, but they're waiting for her to die. They're all standing around, but the mother's very lucid and speaking in the dream.
Well, there's different things that this could be. And again, if we had the person, we'd be chatting. But it could be that they're still processing, and there is no time limit on grief. They could be simply still processing the loss of their mother. Or it could be that the mother is actually coming to talk to them in their dreams. And that can happen when we're asleep. This kind of, this idea that we have that we only what we can see is real and everything else is woo-woo, that kind of idea. That's gone. The resistance is gone. So they talk about the veil between the spirit world and the physical world. The spirits find it easier to get through to us when we're asleep. So it could well be his or her mum coming to give information, to talk, or simply just to communicate, to say, I'm here. So
and we can't discount that, because we simply do not understand. No one understands about how our mind works, especially when we have completely no control over it. And then the thought of dying, that all of a sudden this thing would cease, that consciousness could cease. That's almost harder to imagine than the alternative, if you know what I mean, that this consciousness, separate from the physical being, all of a sudden could, like, listeners, try and think of not thinking. It's impossible, yet we presume, and we've no evidence to suggest otherwise, one way or other. We presume that stops, ceases completely, immediately. I find that almost unimaginable, that my consciousness would no longer exist after I die. And I don't mean that in a crossing over, be it religious or otherwise, but it's purely technically speaking. And as I say, there's no evidence to suggest otherwise, other than a computer that reads signals from a brain, right? That's the only actual evidence on this earth to suggest otherwise. I just cannot believe my consciousness ceasing.
Yeah, if you were in my world, you would definitely believe it goes on, because one of the things I work with is past life trauma, and I know this isn't acceptable to everybody, but I do believe it from working with many people, that we live a life. Most of the time we sort it out and we start fresh in a new life. But sometimes there's something that's hanging on from it that we didn't get to process properly. And in this life, we can go back and sort it out in that life. And then this life is easier. If it's interfering with this life. So I do know what you're saying, and I certainly agree with you.
We'll get to a couple of relationship ones. I'm dreaming my husband has had an affair. It's right in front of me. Does it, or could it mean anything?
Okay, well, 999 times out of 1,000, it's not an affair, because our subconscious does not talk straightforward. It's always symbols. So when you're talking about your husband, you're talking about your own male side. We all have a female and a male side. And you'd be looking at, okay, the male side is the side that gets up, gets things done, makes decisions, powers through. And the female side is the nurture, carer, artistic side. So that person's male side is feeling neglected and needs to have more done. Now, this happens, I often get this dream with people when they have just had a baby, with women, when they've just had a baby, and their whole life is the nurturing side, because it has to be. And then their male side will kind of say, hey, don't forget about me. And that's possibly something that's going on with that person. Again, more details, we get more from it.
Another one on relationships. I've been having dreams that my significant other is cheating on me in my dreams. Even worse, though, is that it's with one of my best friends from work who he's cheating with. It's really upsetting, and I'm wondering if my subconscious is trying to tell me something. It's trying to tell you something, but it might not be trying to tell you what you think it might be trying to tell you.
I wouldn't go arguing with the best friend or the husband, because it is extremely unlikely that that's what's coming through in the dream. It's much more likely that, again, we have to look at the male and the female sides. And just like I said, the male side is feeling dissatisfied in some way. And trying to get sustenance from the female side. Now, this sounds a bit gobbledygook, I know it does, but let's say that the male side is feeling unfulfilled for whatever reason. And instead of being able to say, okay, well, now I'm going to change my life so that I'm now looking after the, fairly balanced male and female, that it has to get a roundabout way and sneak into the female side. Now, really, we would need the person to find out.
But more. Is it possible also that, say, in a social setting, that the three of them are out and they all get on well, there's no flirting going on, but that this person sees that they get on a certain level if they've got something in common? Let's say that was happening in the day. Is it also possible, though, that might be interpreted a different way when we dream at night? So in other words, if a night out and you weren't jealous, but you spotted that your mind might interpret that a different way. I know what you're talking about, the male and female sides, but also can it be something as simple, though, as your mind trying to work out an emotion from during the day?
Oh, yes, it could. But it's more likely to be the more complicated, because if you are dreaming and it's a simple processing, chances are you're not going to remember that as clearly as you're dreaming and you're upset and it's the two people close to you and you're all, in a tizzy about it. So yes, it is possible. And it could be also the case, but I'd be more interested in the more complicated one.
What does it mean if you keep dreaming about your ex?
Right. It could be two things. One, that you simply haven't let go and that you need to either address that with them, move on, do a cutting of ties or whatever it is, or it can be that the qualities that your ex have are the qualities that you need to look at. Do you remember I was talking about earlier, if you have somebody in the dream, it's the traits. So think, and I would only go down to say 3 qualities that they have. Pick out the 3 qualities and then have a look. So let's say they were kind. You look at yourself, am I kind? Do I need to be more kind? And particularly to myself. It's easy for us to be kind to other people. It's a harder thing to be kind to ourselves. And you do that with the other things too, like, let's say, trustworthy. Am I trustworthy? Do I need to be more trustworthy? But most particularly to myself. If I tell myself I'm going to, let's say, eat right, do I stick to that? Can I trust myself?
Mm-hmm. Only time for 1 or 2 more. I dream of entering my parents' bedroom, but I find 2 different people in the room and I wake up then in a panic. What's this trying to tell me?
Okay, so again, it could be many, many things, but at the top level, it would be when we're children, we absorb the values and the ethics that the parents teach us and the religion and everything. And then as old children, adults, or even very, very old adults, where our life is going in such a direction that we are safe to question, is it actually right? And the question may be, yes, I do accept what they taught me, the basics of life, or no, now I'm thinking for myself, I think this is right rather than that is right. So it's a case of, the way people talk about pulling the rug from under you. I'm not talking about that, but this is looking at the rug that's under you, looking at the very basis of your beliefs and your morals and your ethics, and seeing what's acceptable and what is time to change.
Yeah, okay. And just a very last one, because it might be bothering a listener. I dream my niece has died, and I'm not sure if it's because her mum and dad split up and their relationship is a bit difficult. And I do fear losing my relationship with my niece. So presumably they're on one side and they're concerned of access and stuff.
Yeah. And that dream is nearly self-explanatory, because a death in a dream is very often the end of a period, the death of a phase of life. And that is actually so. If the couple have separated, it is the death of that child's life as it was. And that's where the listener is concerned for the child. But it's what I would call as a self-explanatory dream. That's what he or she is concerned with. So that's what they need to actually work on, if they can get in contact with the child and ensure as much as possible.
All right, 2 short questions. What if you don't dream? Lots of people go, they like, I did this dream last night. And they go, what? Dreams? As if it's some sort of a...
Okay, there's 2 possibilities there. One is that the person is very good at processing things as they happen and very experienced, and they don't have a store of things when they go to sleep that they have to kind of flick through and sort out. And the other side of it is maybe there's so much in denial that they can't go there.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't say for somebody else which one it is.
Mm-hmm. Do we sleep do we dream all night, or is it in REM, deep sleep, light sleep?
Because we go into phases. We dream on average 3 to 5 times a night. But that could be several dreams in a few minutes, you know.
Yeah, because sometimes you wonder, does it all happen in real time, etc., or do you wake up as soon as the dream finishes, or is that just the last? Anyway, that's another rabbit hole we could go down. There was one final lucid dreaming. I sometimes feel I can fall back to sleep and pick up where I left off in a dream. Do you know what I mean? Or that I can say, oh right, I want this dream to go in that direction. It doesn't happen too often. But is lucid dreaming a thing?
Lucid dreaming. It's one of the tools that we have, and if you can tip into it, it's great, because one of the reasons we dream is to modify what's going to happen. You know, the way sportsmen mentally visualize winning. Well, we can do something like that in the dream. We can visualize that the things that we're dreaming about are going extremely well for ourselves. So it's really good. And there are meditations to help you to slip into lucid dreaming, if that's what you'd like to do, if that's your cup of tea.
If that's your thing. All right, Alison. People can get more information about Alison's work, who is a holistic therapist and teacher. It's through her website, Alison Byrne, Byrne, AlisonByrneHealing.com. It's been interesting as always, and I know really without follow-up questions and what have you that it's we're kind of going around the edges of it, but still there are some significant pointers there which you've gone through with us. So Alison, thanks for your time today. Take care. Sweet dreams, Alison. 086 60 25,000. Mention whose website? Oh, you already did. Yeah, that's fine. Our website? Alison's. I did. Alison Byrne's web. Yep. I'm going to get you on a speaker in here, Caroline, so people understand what it's like when you're speaking in my ear when I'm trying to speak. Can't string two words together as it is. Thanks, Caroline. Okay, let's take a break. Back with more shortly.
Meet BYD. Meet the biggest car brand you've never heard of. BYD. An introduction 28 years in the making. 28 years of relentless innovation in battery technology. Building 100% electric cars like the Atto 3. Now available in Ireland.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. The 9 till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Stay warm for less this autumn with Homeland. 5-pack of wood logs, buy 3 for €13. Hardwood log crate, 450 kg, only €329. With nationwide delivery available. Shop in store or online at homeland.ie. Join John Breslin and the Highland Radio Outside broadcast team this Friday at Boyce Centra Falcara from 12 until 2:30 p.m. for celebrations and a chance to win spot prizes at the newly revamped Boyce Centra Falcara store. That's this Friday from 12 midday until 2:30.
Archives? Historic buildings? Museum-grade cases? It pays to be historic. If your organisation can contribute to Ireland's heritage, you may be eligible for a Heritage Stewardship Fund grant. Applications now open at heritagecouncil.ie/funding. Supported by the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage.
Country Sundays at the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny. Sunday 19th of November, Claudia Buckley and her band. Sunday 3rd of December, there's Robert Mazzell and his band. Doors open at 8:30, dancing 9 till 11. Admission €15 at the door. Bed and breakfast plus ticket only €70 per person sharing. That's Country Sundays at the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny.
At Centra, we've got amazing Christmas cracker offers for you to stock your Christmas cupboard. Selected biscuits like McVitie's Victoria, any 2 for €7. Nestle Quality Street Tin 871 gram, only €8. And Yellowtail Shiraz and Pinot Grigio, €8 each. Try and keep your hands off them. Shop smart, feel festive at Centra. Enjoy alcohol sensibly.
Do you need a UK address? Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual office address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save your business hundreds, possibly thousands on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 7187 8077 for more details.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
It is 11:30. Now, an awareness campaign is being launched to make the Irish public aware of one of the most dangerous forms of cancer. On World Pancreatic Cancer Day, experts are highlighting some of the symptoms associated with the disease, including tummy pains, jaundice and new onset diabetes in older adults. Pancreatic cancer survivors and families of patients who have died are coming together to get the message out, to get checked by a doctor as soon as you spot any of those symptoms. One of those survivors is Pamela Deasy, who joins us on the programme now. Pamela, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Pamela. So what is it do you think we need to know? And maybe it might help just to talk through your story a little bit, because it is probably somewhat typical. You were first diagnosed in 2018 with pancreatic cancer. Was there anything in the lead up to that was an indicator?
I suppose because of today being World Pancreatic Cancer Day, we're just trying to get the word out, basically, that before, I suppose, pancreatic cancer was normally diagnosed in people in the age profile, category of 60 plus. Mm-hmm. But that was a traditional way. But now it's increasingly affecting younger demographic. So this shift is trying to push us towards just highlighting the importance of awareness and early detection amongst individuals of all ages. Before my diagnosis, I was extremely tired. I knew there was something wrong with me, but I couldn't pinpoint what was actually up. I had gone to the doctor originally and got my bloods done, because I said maybe, it was summertime, I was really busy with work, and I volunteer with my local RNLI lifeboat station, and I was to do stuff at the weekends. And it was busy summer, and I was putting it down to just getting older. But then come September, I had cut back on, I suppose, the weekend activities, but the tiredness was becoming a big issue for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Sleep before I could get up and do anything else. So that was the one symptom for me. I didn't, the tummy pain and the digestive problems or loss of weight or onset of diabetes. I didn't have any of those symptoms. It was really the tiredness that kept pushing me to go and seek help.
That's really important, because I think sometimes, with the best will in the world, when we talk about awareness, there's a whole list of symptoms, and I don't think often it's messaged well enough that some, all or none may be present, if you know what I mean, because some might go, well, I'm tired and weakness, but I don't have weight loss, and, I don't have dark coloured urine, because we can sort of self-triage, if you know what I mean. So it's any of these symptoms, and I'll run through the main symptoms in a moment, that we need to, in and of itself, take note of.
Well, I suppose all the symptoms that you will call out, it's just to be aware of them and have them in the back of your mind. It mightn't be anything sinister, but it's just by us trying to highlight it. If you hear of someone saying, it's my thing is always go with your gut. I knew in my gut there was something not right, but because I had no ongoing symptoms, my bloods were clear, so there was nothing for me to worry about. But I just knew over a space of this is a couple of months, and I had gone to the doctor a few times, and I was given medication because for an upset stomach. But then my upset tummy wasn't for 2 or 3 weeks. It was kind of here or there.
Yeah.
So my advice would be, you're living in your body. If there's a change in, your bodily functions, or if there's change in tiredness, or you just can't cope maybe with things and everything seems to be getting you down. Yeah. And if that's not normal for you and it's ongoing for a couple of weeks, would go and see a medical practitioner and just have a chat and see where you go from there.
Currently there is no screening in place. Should there be? Is it the type of cancer where it would be practical to do so, Pamela, in your experience?
I suppose when I got diagnosed, I wouldn't have known any of the symptoms of pancreatic cancer. I didn't know much about it. All I knew is that anyone that I had ever heard of in my life who was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, none of them survived. So I remember the day I got my diagnosis, which was the 7th of December 2018, I said to myself straight away, that's it, game over. And I had all my scans and all my tests done during the week. But I had been to the doctor a few times. I had my bloods done. I had everything done in that line, and they all came back clear. So I think there's nothing that'll show it up. I just knew by my tiredness, that's the one thing that kept me going back to the GP.
And just in relation to the treatment, Whipple surgery, what is that, if I've pronounced it correctly?
You have. Whipple surgery is at present the only life-saving surgery for pancreatic cancer. But unfortunately, the cancer has spread through the pancreas by the time it's diagnosed. It's a very hard one to diagnose. So for me, luckily, I developed jaundice.
Okay.
At the beginning of December, I suppose the first week of December, that's what prompted me to go to the doctor again. But jaundice doesn't normally present until the cancer has progressed through your pancreas. So it's just, my surgery then was 11.5-hour surgery. So it's a big procedure, and it's basically a rewiring of my digestive system. So in that surgery, they removed a piece of my stomach, a piece of my small intestine, the head of my pancreas, my spleen, my gallbladder, the bile duct, and all my lymph nodes associated around that area to make sure that I was cancer-free, basically, on that surgery day.
Wow, okay, that's a huge operation indeed. But thankfully, it was a success for you. You had that surgery on the 15th of August 2019, which was almost a year after first being diagnosed. And thankfully now you're cancer-free for 4 years, Pamela.
Yes, I have ongoing scans. Every 6 months I go back to my oncologist for scans. And there's stuff that my surgery has been life-saving, but also life-changing. It isn't an easy surgery by any chance, and I have people ring me up to ask me, about the surgery and everything before they go through it. And there's no point in me telling somebody that it's a really easy procedure, because it isn't. It took me the best part of 3 years to get to the stage where I am now after that surgery. I go a step forward, and inevitably to be a step or two back. Like I said, if you start at your starting point and you see the end in sight, if you can go direct to the end, you'll do very well. But for me, I found the scenic route. It was the route that I took, and it was long and meandering, and it's a very hard one, but I am so grateful to be here at the end of the day.
Okay, Pamela, and I'm delighted that you're here and I'm able to speak to you, and it just emphasises the importance of, as difficult as it can be, getting diagnosed as early as possible. Pamela, I'll say goodbye to you and I'll list out the symptoms and other notes for our listeners, but for now, thank you very much, and thanks for helping us to spread awareness on today, which is National Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Day, and continued good health to you, Pamela.
No problem. Thanks very much. And just one thing that I will say is that if any person who gets the misfortunate diagnosis of having cancer, my one thing is don't ever compare yourself to anyone else. It's your own journey, and everyone's journey is different. Stay away from Googling. Do not compare yourself to anybody. Put your faith and your trust in the doctors, because they know what they're at. And please God, your outcome will be the same as mine.
All right, Pamela, sound advice. Thank you so very much indeed. So the symptoms of pancreatic cancer to look out for, some or all or none might be present as well, but belly pain that spreads to the sides or back, a loss of appetite and weight loss, yellowing of the skin and the whites of the eyes called jaundice, which is really the indicator for Pamela that got her on the road to diagnoses, light coloured or floating stools, dark coloured urine, itching, new diagnosis of diabetes or diabetes that's getting harder to control, pain and swelling in a normal leg, which might be caused by a blood clot, tiredness or weakness. Certain things that may risk your chance of getting pancreatic cancer: age, it's more common in older people but not exclusively, smoking, being overweight, diabetes, chronic pancreatitis, family history of pancreatic cancer, which is not common, workplace chemicals, exposed to radiation, aluminium, acrylamide in the workplace. More research, they say, is needed to prove this, though. And a family history of these conditions also increases the risk of hereditary pancreatitis, which is rare, and a few others as well. So stage 1, and this is where it's difficult, it means the cancer is at a very early stage. The tumour is around 2 centimetres in size or less and found within the pancreas, and there's no sign that it's in the lymph nodes or that it has spread outside the pancreas. Stage 2, the tumour is more than 2 centimetres in size. It's now found outside the pancreas in nearby tissues like the bile duct and or the small bowel. There's no sign of cancer in the nearby lymph nodes. In stage 3, the cancer has spread outside the pancreas to nearby tissues. It's also in the lymph nodes and may have spread to other body organs, and this is why it can be so dangerous. That's through the lymphatic system or your bloodstream. And stage 4A, the cancer is spread to nearby organs and vessels and includes the stomach, spleen, large bowel or large blood vessels. It's also in the lymph nodes. And finally, stage 4B, the cancer is spread to the liver and or the lungs, and your doctor may refer to stage 4 as advanced cancer or metastatic cancer. So, as I say, not to be fearful or worried, but just to be careful. As I say, the likelihood is that, thankfully, if you have some of those symptoms, it's likely to be something else. But don't leave it to chance and get it checked out. And as Pamela said, and it comes up time and time again from people, you do have to trust your gut.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
New TB rules would curtail the cattle trade. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, find out what new rules the department is proposing to stem the spread of TB. Reweighting makes it back into EU nature restoration law. British blue tongue case sparks import ban. Straw imports surge to counter Irish shortage. County councils told to ramp up farm inspections. Everything retiring farmers need to know about the Fair Deal scheme, plus your comprehensive guide to next week's Dairy Day. All inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal, on sale now.
Má táú ag iompar cluine, tóirí de vaccíní flu agus COVID-19 an breisiú atá ag teastáil do chóras a mínachta chun tú a chosans na mína macróin. Jéadú an flu agus COVID-19 a bheith mar cúist le tinistrom chúiseach agus tú ag iompar cluine agus cabhróid a chuid vaccíní leat tú féin agus de lenah a chosans. Cur crunne vaccíne de lista de rudí atá le déanamh agat, nó leir le de dhuchtúir nó le de bhean cabhrach. Tuile ólas ag hsc.ie ó aimimenacht na Serbische Sláinte.
It's beginning to look a lot like a National Trust Christmas. See the augury sparkle on the new winter illuminations trail. Wrap up for the return of Roallan's beautiful Yuletide market. Hop aboard the road train and visit Santa at Castle Cool with Concert Connect NI. Follow the festive trail and settle in for story time in the bookshop at Mount Stewart. Come and enjoy the cosy Christmas village at Castle Ward, and you'll find gigantic Christmas spirit at the Giant's Causeway. For an unforgettable Christmas, search National Trust NI.
Adult Safeguarding Day takes place this month. Safeguarding involves keeping ourselves free from harm and protecting our rights. This includes all adults planning ahead to reduce the risk of adult abuse.
Go-to actions that we can all take to plan ahead are to make an enduring power of attorney, designate a health representative, and choose who can assist with decisions. From Safeguarding Ireland, supported by the HSE.
Get informed at safeguardingday.ie.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Now, good morning, Seamus, and sorry for keeping you waiting. How are you keeping today?
Good morning, Greg.
Okay.
Well, I'm just sitting here listening to your radio there, you know.
Yes, good stuff. Good to have you on board, Seamus. What happened to you yesterday?
Well, Greg, it was a small incident, Greg. I was up in the graveyard. I visited my wife and my two daughters, you know. And I happened to meet this girl coming up the graveyard. We just passed a few words, how are you, and lovely day and all, you know. And she walked on up the road, you know, up the graveyard. And I was going on up, back behind her, but maybe 30 yards behind her. And either I tripped or lost my balance, but I fell just on my face, just a big slab, you know.
Oh, no.
And I couldn't get up, and I was fucking, you know, I was just lying there, and I was, you know, you'd be so embarrassed, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And Lord, the girl came back down again, she seen me, you know. This girl lifted me up and got me up, and stayed with me for half an hour to make sure I was okay, you know.
All right.
And asked me if I was okay, I wouldn't need to see the doctor. You know what I mean? She was so nice, you know. And me and her chatted for half an hour, but she was actually staying with me to make sure I was okay, you know.
Oh, isn't that lovely?
But luckily enough, I wasn't too bad. It could have been worse, suppose, you know. It could have been worse.
Yeah, you didn't injure yourself severely, Seamus. I'd say you got a shock, though.
I'll tell you, the shock. When I had to go out, no, I couldn't get straightened up. I was lying with my face down the slab, you know, and I couldn't get straightened up to see, you know, or nothing. And only show there, I mean, I'll never get up again. You know, I've got a new knee in, and you borrow with one knee, but then we have two knees, a heart by good knee then, you know.
Yeah, all right, okay. And yeah, of course, but sure, listen, she was there, so there's no point worrying about if she wasn't there. But her name was Kelly, and she
told me she was a relation of Hughie Kelly of Ireland, and that's all I got to it. Okay. I should have asked her name, but I couldn't get talking that way. It wasn't just the way of talking, you know. And she was so nice that, you know, and she was telling me she was going to Australia to see her to see her son in the street or something, you know.
Okay, but you were in
and
shock.
She was always laughing away. She was saying, she was saying, I'm not a very good person that loves anybody, you know.
But you were in shock, so it's understandable you didn't get her full name. And
Aye.
you know, she gave her time to make sure that you come around and you were fine and able to go on about your way. She gave up her time, which I think is lovely, and that's why you wanted to speak to us to thank her. Really,
that's why. When I went home at night, though, I just thought about this girl, how nice she was, you know.
Yeah.
These things happen, and nobody ever goes back and say thanks. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's what we're here for.
Really nice.
And listen, I'm sure Kelly, if she's not listening herself, someone will know who we're talking about and pass on your good wishes to her.
Well, I hope somebody hears it and tells her, you know.
Okay. Lovely stuff, Seamus. I hope you're well.
Yeah.
Thanks
Greg,
much.
thanks very much,
Thanks
Greg.
for joining us, Seamus. Stay safe. All right. Thank you very much. Okay.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Seasonal loans now available for Christmas. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
The Citroën EC4 and all new EC4X are fully electric. So that means zero exhaust emissions. Their progressive hydraulic cushion suspension means zero vibrations. Their renowned advanced comfort seating means zero discomfort. And now, their impressive finance offer means % interest rate. Book a test drive today at your local Citroën dealer. And zero for yourself.
Get the party started with 25% off all F&F clothing with your Tesco Club card until November 20th. Shop luxuries for less, from sparkles to sequins and everything in between. Tesco Club card, the power to lower prices. F&F, fashion at Tesco. Subject to availability. Available in the majority of larger stores.
Raymond Sweeney here to let you know about some of the great offers we now have available ahead of Black Friday. Save €130 on a Samsung Jet 90 cordless vacuum and claim €100 cashback, or save up to €60 on Ninja air fryers. Bosch hand blender set is only €59. Get a large Murphy Richards slow cooker for only €39. And there's many more great Black Friday offers now available at Ben Sweeney Aeronautics and Letterkenny and Dunlow.
Hi, Kate Appleby here. Just wanted to let you all know my exciting new autumn shoe collection is available nationwide in all good shoe stores. KateAppleby.com. Hope you enjoy my shoes.
On Business Matters this week, my guest is Jackie Fegan, founder and proprietor of Four Paws Kennels and Dog Hotel in Kilmacrennan.
Business Matters in association with the Faculty of Business at ATU Donegal. For a career in financial governance, consider the Level 9 MA in Governance and IT in Financial Services, starting in January. Contact the Exec Ed Coordinator on 9186206 or email donald.hannigan@atu.ie today.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. From condensing oil and HVO biofuel boilers to heat pumps and underfloor heating, you can trust Grant to heat your home. Visit grant.ie.
Okie doke, let's have a look at the weather forecast for you right now. Actually, the weather's not there. Don't know where it's gone. I'll come back to the weather in a moment. No, it's popped up here for me, thank God. Right, I can tell you that turning cloudy with outbreaks of rain developing in the west during the morning or early afternoon. Bright spells and showers will follow as rain clears eastwards by early evening. Temperatures 6 to 8 degrees. Okay, Clancy joins us on the programme now. Clancy, again, sorry to keep you holding there. Right, okay, you're asking, did anyone watch your programme on assisted suicide? I think it's called assisted dying is the preferred terminology. Did you watch it, Clancy, with interest?
Yes, I did, Greg. I watched it early because my intention is to go down that road someday. Hopefully not for a good while yet, but I have MS and it's just gradually getting worse now. I'm losing power.
Yeah, the phone line's just dropping out there. Sorry, you were just saying it's not your fault, it's our fault, Clancy. You're saying your symptoms are getting worse.
Yes, they're getting worse all the time, slowly getting worse. I've lost power of my legs now altogether. And I just let it go so far, and I'm going to have to go, I think, then for the assisted suicide.
So you will travel for it, Clancy?
Yes, I will. There was 4 of us at the one time here in Castleberg, got the MS around the one time, and unfortunately the other 3 have passed away. And I've seen what they went through, and I have no intentions of going down that road.
Have you discussed this with people around you, Clancy, or has it come up in conversation?
Oh, yes, I have, surely. Yes, I've told a lot of ones. Some people say I'm foolish. Most of them say I'm okay. Go ahead. They all agree to it. You wouldn't want to see anybody suffering with MS if you knew what was coming.
Yeah, but I mean, I've known, but it's I see it's not for. It's some people with MS will not want to go down this route. Others will. This is certainly, it's a very personal decision. I find it very difficult to argue one way or other because I'm not living your life, Clancy. So I am completely unqualified to be able to say whether or not this is a path you should choose or not. And I think sometimes people who aren't in that position are too quick to jump in with an opinion. Do you get where I'm coming from, Clancy? Like, it's you that's living this. It's you that has to make its decision or your decision. It doesn't really matter what Greg thinks.
Yes. I know what you're saying, all right, Greg, but as you say, that's my decision. And I don't want to go through what I've seen other people going through. Get out the quick way, I think.
And have you thought about at what point you make this decision?
Sorry, what is that, Lord?
Have you thought about, when would you decide to do it? Like, if you said, right, when this ability of mine goes, then I'm going to go and down the route of assisted dying. Do you know what I mean? You talked about you're okay now, you've managed up to now, but at what point do you think you would consider assisted dying?
Well, I'll just have to wait. Excuse me. I'll have to wait and see just how it works out and how bad it can get. And I don't want to go completely down where I'm getting full-time care and stuff like that. I do have care now in the morning. In the morning, that's it. I manage the rest of the day myself then.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as I can do that, I'll be happy enough to do it. But when that decides to go, I'll decide to go then too.
So really it's when you lose your independence, that seems to be the benchmark for when you think enough is enough.
Yep, that is right. Yep, if you can't look after yourself a certain amount and feed yourself and stuff like that, I've seen it with other people and I know what it's like. And there's no way I want to go down that road.
Can I ask you what age category, what decade of your life you're in, Clancy?
I am 67, I think.
So you're in your late 60s. Okay, I get you. And do you have, again, I don't want to be, I'm not asking any private questions, so just ignore them if you don't want to answer, Clancy, but do you have close family that you've had to discuss this with, or have you had this conversation with them, or maybe you don't have close family?
Oh, I have. I've got 4 daughters.
Right, and what do they think?
Well, they seem to be happy enough. None of them says, when I mention it, they don't say, oh, no, you're doing that. They say it's up to yourself, whatever you want to do. So that's the way it is, and that's what I will do.
And do you know, have you researched what options are open to you, how you do it, where you would, not literally the act of how you do it, but where you would travel to or how all that works? I mean, is that information readily available?
Yes, I've downloaded a video there of 3 people, I think it was, went for the euthanasia. I showed the whole thing right up to the end. They had to travel a good bit, and I can't remember exactly where they went, but they had a good bit to go. And they were trying to have their family with them. Mm-hmm. I didn't think that was possible, but they had their family around them when they were getting through the euthanasia,
Yeah.
So I'd be happy enough if I could do that.
Okay, yeah, of course, but that makes it a little bit more difficult, I suppose, for the family. But I mean, you've got the support of your daughters. Like, do you think, Clancy, if you wanted to, you should be able to do that now?
No, I wouldn't do it now, no. I'm happy enough now as I am. I've still got power in my arms and all the rest. I have a motorbike scooter I can go about on here. I can go to Castleberg or anywhere I want to go. So I'm still fairly independent that way.
Mm-hmm.
And as I say, I don't need much care only in the morning. So I'm happy to stay. If I could stay the way I am, I'd stay as long as whatever.
Right, you seem at complete peace with your decision, if you know what I mean, that it's not for me now. I wouldn't do it now, but I know when I feel the time is right, I've no doubt that's what I'm going to do.
Yes, that's right. Whenever I start to lose power completely, that I can't feed myself and carry on as I get, that's the day I say enough is enough.
Does religion play a factor in your life at all, Clancy, or do you take any guidance from religion at all?
No, I haven't. People, because I know what they would say.
Yeah,
you can't do that. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't do that. I tell you, I know what they would say about that. So I haven't discussed that with anybody, priest or clergyman or anything else.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So,
right, okay, Clancy, listen, I wish you as good a health as is possible with the awful condition that you have. And it's how do you sign off on a conversation like this, Clancy? It's that you're at peace. You're at peace with your decisions. So, you know, what can I say? I respect it because it's you that's living that life. I'm not living that life. So I just listen to you and learn from it. That's all I can do.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to know. As I say, it's hard to know when you, as you say, sign off here. But I'll stay as long as I can, as long as my health stays the way it is now. But when it gets worse, that's it.
Okay, Clancy, listen, best wishes to you. I hope it's not for a very long time, is the best I can say. And I hope you understand it's meant in the nicest possible way. Thanks very much, Clancy. Okay, there's Clancy. What do you think? 08660 25,000. That may well be one of the topics we discuss with the Friday panel, which we bring to you tomorrow morning from 9. There's loads more coming up on the show to end off the week, the working week. It's not really the working week, but you know what I mean, the Monday to Friday working week. So that's where we say goodbye for today. For me, Greg Hughes, Caroline Orr, who researched and produced the show, and Shannon working on the programme too. We'll be back with you, as I say, tomorrow morning.